Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Deku had returned to the Todorokis Part 1. If you guys enjoy this What If and want to see Part 2, comment down below and let me know before I start. Please do support for more awesome content and leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also share this video with your friends and check out the description in my playlist. The author of the story Laurenssyyy from Wattpad. So let's start the video. The Todorokis in the Todoroki household. Enji was training his eldest, Touya. With the drive to let his own son beat All Might someday, who he couldn't himself, he gave intense training more than Touya's body could handle. Enji wasn't satisfied at all whenever his son easily drops, resulting to Touya having siblings. Fuyumi was born. Unfortunately, she is too weak for her father's standards, having Natsuo next with the same judgment. They were neglected easily by Enji, leaving them to their mother's care, and he stuck with Touya. Until a few years later, Ray Todoroki, Enji's wife, gave 𝗵𝗲𝗍𝗄𝗏 to twins. Both kids ended up having red and white hair. Shoto, the older twin, half side was red and the other was white. 𝗬𝗏𝗏 was sure that he was a masterpiece. Izuku, his hair was red, slowly going gradient to white at the tips. 𝗬𝗏𝗏 wasn't sure of his quirk, but Izuku landed a soft spot on his father's heart, in the result of Enji slowly making up for the family. 2 years later, Izuku and Shoto are now 3. Enji was waiting for another year. 4 years old is when quirks manifest generally for each individual. While Touya is undergoing harsh training, Shoto is playing with Fuyumi and Natsuo. Izuku had a fever and was put to sleep by Ray, who's now watching her 3 children running around. Unfortunately for the timing, a group of villains decided to infiltrate the number 2 hero's home with the motives of bringing down the public's trust in heroes. The attempt was successful in the start, but as it ends, the villains were defeated, but they got something precious from the house as some of them escaped. Running, playing tag outside. Fuyumi noticed fire. Fire far from the training room. It can't be their father's. "Mom, there's fire," she exclaimed. Of course, her mother also noticed that this wasn't the doing of Enji. "Let's go outside, you 3. She pulled her children out the front gates quickly while shouting at Enji's direction about the occurrence. Enji was busy training Touya to hear her, but he noticed this too. "Check if they're complete and safe out there," he said to Touya, who was struggling. But Touya loved his mother and siblings that he's willing to run to them. Outside, you can now see Ray Todoroki trying to get back in the house but is being held back by officers. Emergency came to help, but now stopping them from entering back. "My son is still there," she cried. "Izuku," she cried more. Touya, hearing this, shouted at his father. "Izuku's still in his room." 𝗬𝗏𝗏, who's now in his hero costume, is multitasking with controlling the flames the enemy started, attacking the villains, defending himself, and making his way to the sick boy's room. Finishing off some villains and successfully taking out the fire near Izuku's room, 𝗬𝗏𝗏 only entered the room to see no one in the room. He came to the most obvious conclusion that his son was kidnapped. He came out the house, walking with a disappointed face. "Where's Izuku?" Ray asked. No reply from his husband. She felt angry and tears started to stream. "Enji, where's Izuku?" She screamed at him this time. "No. Izuku?" Shoto asked. Fuyumi patted his head, crying. Soon enough, Natsuo and Shoto cried too as they finally understood. Touya just stared there wide-eyed. He didn't save him. Touya's thoughts swirl around the idea. Somehow Enji thought this was his fault. After that incident, it was confirmed that no Ash held the DNA of Izuku. The Todorokis requested for a search. It went on until 3 months. To no avail. He was later on announced dead. This incident made the family took a sharp turn to the south even more. After somewhat sobering up until the next year, Fuyumi and Natsuo started acting more mature for their age as they helped their mom out. Shoto would have nightmares, but it got better as the time passed. 𝗬𝗏𝗏 distracts himself in hero work and distanced himself from his family. Lastly, he ran away a few days after Izuku was announced dead to them and the public. He simply gave up and knew that the Todoroki family will never improve, and he blamed everything to his dad and obviously hated him for it. He wanted to find Izuku as he believed he's still alive. Another search was held for Touya a few days after he left. No leads or anything for a long period of time, so he was also announced dead by the government. In the middle of the year, 4-year-old Shoto gained his quirk. As 𝗵𝗃𝗃 suspected, it was indeed a powerful quirk. His right side with the white hair releases ice, allows him to freeze an object, while his left side allows him to release flames. A perfect combination of both his parents' quirks. Soon enough, 𝗵𝗃𝗃 started training him. The harsh training he did with Touya was now repeated at his dubbed youngest son. Rei would protect Shoto from her husband only to end up being beaten up. Now she is slowly becoming unstable, scared of her husband. From the start she knew that Enji only married her because of her family's quirk. To be the mother of his children, his new successor. Looking back, leading her to hate and fear the present and future. In the kitchen, Enji was on patrol as 𝗵𝗃𝗃. Shoto got a break from his training, now looking for his mother, and Fuyumi and Natsuo were as usual, not allowed to see or interact with Shoto. Fearing their father, they couldn't do anything but follow this rule implemented by Enji. Finally found his mother, Shoto was about to walk in the kitchen to greet her and give a hug. But he heard the phone call. The children seemed to be more like him. And Shoto, whenever I see that kid's left side, it reminds me of him. It's unbearable. I can't handle it. I can't take care of him anymore, she said in between quiet sobs. Shoto was smart enough to understand what the topic was. Her mom looks more pitiful than what she shows back then. Deciding to comfort her mom after the phone call, he ran to her, giving her leg a hug, asking, "What are you saying?" Only to end up being pushed away and a hot temperature of freshly boiled kettle to be thrown at his left side. Shoto screamed in agony. Rei finally came to her senses and hugged her son, saying sorry over and over again. She even tried to use her icy quirk to cool it down. But in the end, it gave a scar. When 𝗵𝗃𝗃 knew of what happened, he was beyond furious. He decided to send Rei to a mental hospital because she hurt his masterpiece. If Shoto was sobbing to his mother that he didn't want to be like his father and how he hates him, imagine how much that hate rise up 100-fold. The family continued to live in a household as a family of 4. Izuku dead, Touya dead, Rei in a mental. "Izuku, you think they're still onto us?" a guy said, catching his breath in an alleyway. "I don't think so, but we got a hero's child and that's enough to pay our debt, right?" the companion said as he was carrying the 3-year-old they knocked out. "We still have time, 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗃. In front of them, black mist suddenly appeared. "You're late," a misty man said. "𝗬𝗪𝗠𝗪. We're sorry. We came with a 𝗧𝗪𝗪𝗧, the man holding Izuku said, but immediately got cut off. "We don't tend to late people. As the deal goes, you'll pay with your life." The man in the suit, whom they called 𝗬𝗪𝗠𝗪, took the child and left it in the another alley using his quirk, warping the 2 men at his sensei's location, and readied himself to see another gruesome execution. In an alley somewhere in Nizudafu City, Izuku was warped next to a big garbage bin. Starting to wake up and shuffling to his position, a massive wave of headache came to him when he gained his consciousness. The pain in the back of his head was obviously hit by something hard. But right now, where is he? Who is he? He couldn't do anything else but cry from the pain and confusion he was having. Like luck was by Izuku's side, a woman with green hair passed by the alley and heard his sobs. Inko Midoriya is walking home from her job. Very kind woman, though this kind woman is sad about the death of his husband, Hisashi Midoriya, 2 months ago. She went to find where the sobs were coming from, only to see a boy, red and white-haired boy, curling on the ground. She immediately went to the boy. "Hey little dear. What are you doing here?" Inko asked the pity-looking boy. Izuku backed away a little, debating whether or not he should trust the woman in front of him. "It's okay, I'll help you," she said, holding out her hand. The boy complied by taking her hand. Inko, now kneeling on par with the Izuku's height, holding his hands, she asked, "What's your name?" I don't remember." She put a hand on his forehead only to feel a high temperature. "He must have a fever in this chilly night. Head hurts," he whimpered. "Hey, I'll bring you to the hospital, okay?" Izuku nodded shyly. Inko picked him up and stopped a cab and went to the hospital. On the way there, Izuku fell asleep. He must be exhausted. Inko whispered to herself. She felt Izuku's tiny hands cling to the sleeves of her pink cardigan. Small snores began to fill the air. In the hospital, Inko decided to wait for the child, who's now being tested to see what was wrong with him. He has a fever, he couldn't remember anything. And I found him crying on the streets, said his head hurts. She told the doctor, hoping it would help. Hours later, tests are now done. A serum was given to Izuku, relaxing him to sleep. We found a bump on a critical area on his head, probably got hit too hard. It looks intentional, this probably caused the memory loss. He has amnesia, Mrs. Midoriya. We interviewed him in case he remembered something and nothing. If he can't tell us his identity, he will be put in an orphanage. We estimated his age as 3 years old. The doctor explained. But the system is horrible. She thought. Doctor, what if I adopt him? When will the papers be ready? Inko asked. Well, if you're really sure, then by the time he's ready to leave, the papers should be ready too, even before his leave. Which is next week. Inko nodded, confirming the adoption. He'll be awake by tomorrow, the doctor said as he takes his leave. The next day, Inko came to the hospital to see the 3-year-old redhead. She went to his hospital room. The boy was coloring on a paper, probably given by the hospital. The boy looked at the green-haired woman. Mississippi. Izuku greeted as he remembered her from last night. Dear. How are you, dear? She asked. I'm doing good. A small smile on his face was plastered. Inko, now having a good look at the boy, noticed the 3-year-old's features. Handsome face indeed. Though that handsome face would always look stern like Shoto, she wouldn't mind a behaved child that's hypothetical with her. Caring for someone else is her nature. Ever since her husband died, she had no one to take care of but herself. She felt lonely and wanted company. Specifically a family, even if it's just a family of 2. As days passed by, Inko would visit Izuku and the latter would enjoy her presence. Now landing the present to Friday same week, Inko was finally going to ask Izuku if he wanted her to be his mother. Dear. Do you want me to be your mother? Inko asked. Deep down she was nervous. What if the kid doesn't want her? But instead of the negative thoughts, she received a hug from Izuku, whispering yes to her ears. Grabbing the papers from her bag, handed to her earlier than the estimated date, which made her grateful tenfold, she asked the boy. Is it okay I name you Izuku? The boy nodded as she see her new mom tear up. Why are you crying, Inko-san? It's just. My husband wanted to name our kid Izuku. That's why. I hope you don't mind, dear. Somehow to the little redhead, the name Izuku dealt normal to him, so he found the name choosing comfortable. It's perfect, Inko-san, he said, giving off a bigger smile than usual. Call me Izuku, thank you, Mom. Izuku was doing better than expected by the doctors, so that's why he was discharged a day early. Inko now brought Izuku to her apartment. He offered Izuku the empty room in front of hers. It was simple but enough for the grateful kid. Starting from then on, they spent their lives happily in a peaceful way. A year later, at the daycare, Izuku was with a boy named Katsuki, whom he calls Kaken. They were introduced by their mothers. Inko Midoriya and Mitsuki Bakugo are best friends all the way back from high school till now. Hoping their kids have a longer friendship than them, both boys were later introduced. Hey Izuku. Isn't your birthday tomorrow? Katsuki asked the redhead. Yeah, July 15th. He replied with his neutral face while scooping sand with a toy shovel. Inko found Izuku on Juki 15 last year and decided to make it his birthday. His original birthday is January 11th, same as his twin. I'm turning 4, he said. Then you'll get your quirk soon, the blonde yelled. Katsuki got his earlier than Izuku. He creates explosions from sweating. Just as the blonde said that, like on cue, Izuku suddenly let out bluish-white flames and some sort of flaming red ice crystals. Katsuki was amazed and tried to touch the crystals, but as his hand was getting near, the temperature gets hotter. He didn't even dare touch the flames, but keeps growing. Katsuki called over a teacher. They look at Izuku in awe. Izuku began walking to them and the flames were leaving. Snowflakes. In its tracks. The children played behind, enjoying the cool of Izuku's flames while the teachers called for his mother. Inko came and went to Izuku. Izuku. She came running to her son, who was now playing with the bluish-white flames, and creating small red crystal like ice on his hands, then put them together making some sort of science. How about we'll see a quirk doctor today and try to hide your quirk first, she said as she felt an incredible high heat before hugging her son. After the test results came in, Inko and Izuku was called to the doctor's office. Midoriya-san. Your son's quirk is amazing, the quirk specialist explained. How so, doctor? It's like Izuku here can create and control fire and ice. The entertaining part is, they have the opposite temperature. The ice appears red because of the heat it produces as he freezes something. The other one was flames. It appears bluish-white because it produces a freezing temperature. Over time, if he practices quirks, he can control the temperature. Inko-san. That's amazing, Izuku. She hugged her son, who's now using quirk restraints because he kept on using his quirk due to excitement. How about I'll make you cold soba later? Your favorite? Izuku nodded as a small smile plastered his face. Now Izuku, what do you want to name it? The boy thinks for a few seconds. How about half hot, half cold? Okay, let's see if that's still available. Every quirk is unique after all, even if they came from the same theme, the doctor chuckled. I'm sorry, dear, but it was already taken. It was just a few days ago too, she answered. Then Izuku think again. Cold flames, hot ice. That's perfect and very much available, Izuku-kun, the doctor said, patting the boy's head. The registration is done and so is the appointment. Ending with thank you, Sensei. Despite being young, Izuku was smart. He dreamed of being a hero and he wants to get stronger. So he asked his mom if it's okay that he train his quirk. Her mom happily agreed. I know you'd make a great hero, Izuku. Years later, now 14 years old, Izuku Midoriya is in his 3rd year of middle school. Along with his friend Kaken, Izuku grew up to be quite good-looking and popular at 𝗓𝗪𝗓 Middle School. Same goes for the loud blonde. Both in different ways. Everyone wondered how the two could be friends. Yes, they are strong in using their quirks, smart at school. But their personalities are different. Katsuki was loud, short-tempered, literally explosive, and is crude. The worst part of him is his big ego and lack of respect to the extras around him. While Izuku is quiet, calm, and kind. His sudden small smiles made everyone's heartbeat race. They say he's a blessing to 𝗓𝗪𝗓 Middle School. Bakugo's not the best person, he takes his anger out on others. Izuku would stop or restrain him, which helped a lot because the blonde would only listen to the redhead. Ah, what do you think you're doing extra? Katsuki's voice could be heard from the other end of the hall. Fortunately for the tormented, Izuku was passing by. Oh, Kaken, you're here, he said as he slid his eyes to the poor kid below Katsuki. Kaken, we'll be late for class. Come on, he said, walking towards his classroom. Katsuki followed behind and left the student alone. After minutes of waiting in the classroom, the teacher arrived with papers on his hand. After formal greetings, he started talking. I would give you this career aptitude test, but what's the point? You all wanted to be heroes. He threw the papers in the air and Izuku's classmates started to showcase their quirk, immediately stopped by Katsuki's voice. Teach, don't lump me and Izuku with these losers. These BNHA extras would be lucky enough to be sidekicks of D-listers. The class went fuming and Izuku sighed in disappointment to his friend's antics. Oh yeah, Bakugo's applying to UA. Same as Midoriya. The class started murmuring about how the acceptance rate was low in UA High. But that didn't stop the two friends to want nothing more than be accepted. So 10 months later, the entrance exam finally came. And all Izuku and Katsuki did was train and study. In front of the UA gates, Katsuki and Izuku walked along with other participants. Making their way to the orientation hall, Izuku tripped and braced for the fall. But what's expected didn't come. He was floating in midair. He relaxed himself and saw a brunette girl with pink cheeks. Sorry I used my quirk on you, but it'd be a shame if you fall before the exam's right, she said to the redhead. Izuku turned to her only to see her blush after her confident smile. Thank you, he blurted out with a neutral face. Then I better get going, the girl said. Katsuki then pulled Izuku to the orientation room and found their seats. Present Mike started orientation with an energetic greeting. Unfortunately, it wasn't returned to him with the same energy. The students were silent and he just decided to start explaining the exam. In the middle of explaining, a boy with blue hair and glasses raised his hand. Present Mike, who was happy that a student decided to participate and talk, called over the number of the participant, giving him permission to speak. The boy stood up and started talking. Sir. In the printout handed out, it shows there are 4 types of villains, not 3 like from your explanations. If this was a mistake on official UA material, then it is shameful. He exclaimed, well, listener. Thank you for pointing it out. I was just about to get to that part actually. The 4th faux villain is a 0-pointer. So it's recommended that you could just run away from it, Mike answered. Then, check your papers and see where your prospective battle centers are. The students looked at their papers. I guess they won't let friends help each other, huh? Bakugo said. Izuku just nodded, not leaving his sight on the stage. Later on, the participants went to their assigned battle center. Izuku got battle center B. He saw the brunette he bumped into earlier and the glasses boy from the orientation. Everyone was looking at Izuku. His red hair that fades down to white caught many attention. Soon, the gates opened and Present Mike screamed, "Go!" where students ran to comply. Izuku uses his cold white flames to freeze the robots, causing them to malfunction, saving others who do not watch their surroundings, causing him to gain more points unknowingly. Meanwhile, at the control room where the staff is, Eraserhead was watching boredly at his potential soon-to-be students. Looking around different screens, he saw one participant who was running across faux villains who already has their targets. But before the faux villains could do anything, it was freezed, stuck down to the ground. But instead of freezing to malfunction, its legs melted into the ground slowly. He recognized the structure of the ice. He saw this at the recommendation exams a few days ago. Nizu, does Shoto Todoroki from the recommendations have a brother? Aizawa asked, the mixed look of bear, mouse, closest to a hamster in my eyes principle. Well, yes, he has. A college student in a medical course. The smart animal answered. No other. The other 2 are dead if I look back from 10 to 11 years ago. The tired-looking man sighed and continued to watch the participants as Nizu pushed a button to release the giant 0-pointer. Here we go again. Aizawa thought. Back at the battle center, the ground rumbled and a big robot, specifically the 0-pointer, rose from the ground. It was bigger than the robots they have been destroying. Somehow it was fearsome, but it's a 0-pointer. They don't need to take the robot down, they don't have to deal with it. Most thought, even the redhead Izuku thought of this. But just before leaving, he saw the kind girl who kept him from falling earlier. She was stuck under a rubble. She couldn't run away from the giant faux villain. Changing his course from running away to running towards the villain, Izuku shot his cold flames towards the stuck girl. Then he shot his red-hot ice glaciers far above her before the villain steps on her. Controlling both temperature, the girl didn't burn because of the cool of his quirk nor freeze from the low temperature. The girl didn't get crushed as the hot glaciers melt the structure of the robot's legs. He saved the brunette by taking her out of the rubble and carried her far enough for the robot not to fall on them both. He used his quirk to warm up his body so that the girl would have her normal body temperature back. Then Present Mike called the end of the exams. Recovery Girl started walking towards Izuku and the girl he comfortably sat on the ground. I think she had a sprain, Izuku said to Recovery Girl in a neutral tone. Recovery Girl kissed the forehead of the brunette and her sprain and some cuts started to disappear. Back at home, Inko Midoriya was waiting for her son. She knew he'd pass just from watching him train by himself or with Katsuki. As a special treat, she made her katsudon and soba. She couldn't usually make both, mostly because of the time it takes and her job and resting hours. Izuku understood this, but this was special and she decided to take a leave off her work. Izuku came home earning a hug from her mother as he took a step in the house. Hey ma, he greeted with a small smile forming his face. This smile usually shows whenever Inko's around, or Katsuki would do something pleasing than crude. How was the exam? She asked, helping Izuku out with his stuff. Tiring, he said. Inko knew how Izuku is not a talker, so she doesn't mind short responses. I made you your favorites. And I made sure the soba is cold, just how you like it. The smile on Izuku's face grew a bit more. Inko would notice this small difference. And so the night was filled with stories and pride. All that's left is to wait for the acceptance letter. Similarities and unpleasant surprise. A week later, the day has finally came. The letter of UA is supposed to arrive today. Izuku was honestly nervous. Even though it doesn't show, his mom could read his face and actions like a book. It was already the afternoon and he was internally panicking. In his room, obviously sulking on his bed, Inko could only think of how bad this anxiety of his is. Izuku wasn't the type to dwell on things, but this is not just a simple thing. This is his dream high school, his future. So she was worried. In the living room every now and then, she was taking glances at the door. Soon enough, one glance away and one glance to the door again. An envelope was now on the floor. Izuku! Izuku! She yells as she runs to her son's room with the envelope in her hand. It's here. She waved the envelope. Izuku walked to her mom. She gave him what he's been waiting for and decided to give him privacy. With his patience testing him, he ripped the envelope vigorously only for a small machine-like to fall. Not seconds later, the machine showed a hologram projection of All Might. Congratulations, young Midoriya. Izuku continued to watch the hologram. You passed the entrance exam. Not only that but got the highest score in UA's entrance score history. With the villain points of 81, but that's not the only thing we grade. You received 55 rescue points, which gives you a total of 136 points. It showed the rankings and saw Katsuki second, just below him. Then it went back to All Might again. Congratulations. Welcome to your hero academy. Then it stopped. Izuku was so happy. He ran to Inko and hugged her tightly, saying he passed. She was so proud and knew his training was worth it. He called the Bakugas through the landline with Katsuki answering it after the fourth ring. Oi nerd. Kaken. You passed. You scored 105 points. The redhead said. Yeah. Congrats on placing first. The blonde said. Which made Izuku smile fully because Kaken acknowledged him. Even though he knows that Katsuki acknowledges him, even from the start, the blonde doesn't really say anything. Finally, the first day of UA. In the Todoroki household. Shoto woke up early like he usually does. Got ready, then changed to his uniform. He heard Fuyumi call her from the kitchen. Complying to her calls, he went there and said a quiet good morning. Fuyumi is now 22 years old and helps his brothers like a mom. She cooked pork cutlet bowls for breakfast. Natsuo already ate and left. Make sure to finish okay, she said as she was taking her leave to get ready for work. Natsuo is 19 and in college, leaving Shoto to be 16 along with his long-gone twin. Shoto was done eating and Fuyumi is ready to leave. Don't forget to pray for them, okay, she said as she was leaving the door. Shoto nodded and put his plates to the sink, then went to a room. In the room, nothing else but showcased two batsudens with open doors. Fuyumi probably opened this, he thought, looking at the pictures inside of them. He lit the candles again as it was dead. He bowed down and paid his respects. One picture showed a kid with red and growing white hair. The other one showed a dark hair fading down to white, no more than 3 years old. The picture was monochromatic. He knew this was his twin. He remembered being close to Izuku but not the same as Touya. Every day, like a habit, the Todoroki family would visit and pay their respects. Rei still hasn't gone home from the mental. Still keeping her hatred, anxiety, and sadness. She keeps on remembering the abuse and the death of her children. Fuyumi and Natsuo would visit, but Shoto still doubts himself and thinks his mother hates him. After paying his respects, Shoto then started to walk to the station, low-key being excited for the first day. In the front gates showed many students. Shoto is wondering if any of the students he see are his classmates. He entered the building and searched the halls for Class 1A. After walking a few, he found himself standing in front of the giant door that opens to his classroom. He saw Yaoyorozu, who he met at the recommendation exams. She waved at him and he gave a nod. Soon enough, more classmates are starting to get in. Then a loud blonde came stomping in the room. He walked to his seat. You can feel the pride confidence he reek of. Relaxing his foot on his desk, the blue-haired glasses guy, who arrived few minutes earlier, started scolding him. Even until more students came. Meanwhile, in the hallways is a lost Izuku. After a couple more wrong turns in the hallways, he finally arrived at the tall door of 1A. When he finally opened the door, he saw his friend arguing with the one with blue hair and glasses. The guy in glasses saw Izuku from the corner of his eye and suddenly ran to him. "I'm 𝗳𝗏𝗃𝗲, I'm from 𝗬𝗵𝗃 Academy, and you saw something more to the exam, right? So this extra is an elite. It'll be fun to crush you." Bakugo said from his seat. "Excuse me. Are you sure you wanted to be here?" Ida said. "Others are just too shy to interfere." "I'm Izuku Midoriya," he said bluntly. Hearing the name, Shoto looked at where the voice came from. "Izuku," he blurted out. "Yeah, that's my name," he answered back. Then, ignoring any other comments, he walked to Bakugo. "Hi Kaken," he greeted. "Hey nerd." Aizawa walled to the podium quietly. The class didn't seem to notice as they started to make friends with their seatmates. Then Aizawa saw the redhead poke the ash blonde's shoulder who was looking out the window and pointed at him. "Nice to know someone noticed me first second, ahem. If you plan on playing friends you can get out of here," Aizawa said, catching the attention of all his students now shrieking in surprise. He just sighed. "Name's Shota Aizawa. I'm your homeroom teacher. I know this is sudden but..." He took out a gym uniform from the sleeping bag he carried in the classroom. "Change into this and go outside." Once everyone was outside. "Bakugo, since your quirk would be a perfect example for this, what is your farthest distance throw in the softball when you were in junior high?" Aizawa asked. 67 meters, I think." "Now try doing it with your quirk." Bakugo complied to Aizawa by walking to the 𝗧𝗪𝗧. With the ball Aizawa gave to him, he is now stretching inside the circle. "All right, anything goes just as long as it's inside the circle," he said to the blonde. Then, "Dice!" he screamed as he threw the ball with a massive explosion. Aizawa showed his score. 705-2. Izuku POV right now, I couldn't care less with the fuming of the class, same goes with Mr. Aizawa looking cool on scolding them. I was staring at this kid. We haven't made introductions yet so I don't really know his name. He has red hair on the left side and the other half was white. It's amazing that his hair perfectly cuts to the middle. I also found it a great coincidence that we have the same hue of red. Soon enough, I was brought back to my thoughts as Aizawa-sensei said we will start. So just like middle school but with quirks, got it. I am very determined to do my best even if I don't show it on my face. First was a 50-meter run. I just used my hot ice path to speed me up. I glanced seeing the boy with a scar wide-eyed looking at me. Then when I watched his turn there's also an ice path similar to mine, but his is blue and what a normal ice would look like and mine's red. It was so cool. I need to talk to him, but breathe in and out Izuku, you need to compose yourself. After every practical test, Aizawa showed a hologram of our rankings. A girl named Yaoyorozu was first, then Kaken, then this Todoroki kid, and I got fourth. It's not that bad. Oh right, the expulsion was just a logical ruse. I just said it so you would give the best of your abilities. Aizawa said with a shiz-eating grin. Wait, you said something about someone being expelled. I blurted, everyone looked at me. Ah, you got distracted again earlier. Kaken exclaimed as he light chopped my head. Sorry, I said with a bit of disappointment in my voice. Geez, stop those habits Izuku. So Eraserhead's our teacher huh? I said to myself. Third POV in the boys' changing room, they went to their assigned lockers and started changing. Some were already talking with their groups of friends. No one seems to mind Izuku. But then another redhead started a conversation. Hello, I'm Kirishima. You're Midoriya, right? Izuku nodded at him. Say, are you guys brothers? Kirishima asked pointing at Shoto and Izuku. My brother died 11 years ago, Todoroki said with a neutral tone and a neutral face. Not that I know of. Izuku said. After staring a bit at Todoroki, Kirishima questioned Izuku's answer. How so? I'm only adopted. he said with the same expression as Todoroki. Wow, but it's so cool. You guys really look like brothers. Kaminari but in. Oh, I'm Kaminari by the way. Denki Kaminari, just call me Denki. Yeah. You almost have the same quirk. It looks like ice. Shiro said, not minding that he was unknown to his classmates yet. It is ice though, Todoroki answered. Well, mine's kinda different, he said. What's the name of your quirk? Maybe we'll get a better explanation. Kirishima suggests. Half hot, half cold, Todoroki said. Really? Izuku asked him. Shoto simply nodded. I was going to name my quirk that, but the doctor said someone already got it a few days before me too. Izuku explained, keeping his monotone voice. Anyways, I named mine Cold Flames, Hot Ice. So it is literally what you guys call it. So Todoroki and Midoriya, you have flames too. I don't use them, the boy with scar bluntly said with a hidden pained expression same to Izuku's. Izuku simply lit his bluish-white flames that also created small snowflakes. In both hands, Todoroki touched the flames and was stunned face a small second. It really is cold. Others just watched the flames at awe. He then closed his palm as he canceled his flames, making the others pout. Now being pulled out by Bakugo to go to the classroom. Kaken. Are you jealous? Izuku asked his friend in a bland voice. Ah. Of course not, you shizzy nerd. He screamed. You only call me with profanities if you're angry at something. Oh wait, let me change that, you're always angry. Bakugo glared at the small smiling Izuku. Reaching the classroom and soon others behind followed in. Ida decided to initiate introductions. Some are shy and quiet, some are dense like the twins, some are just noisy but fun and good, others are neutral between chaos and peace. Just on cue, their next teacher came in. And the next. And the next, until all subject teachers has made their own introductions. Soon enough the day ended and Izuku was ready to go home to his mom. How was the first day, Izuku? Inko asked after hugging her son. It was great, Mom. Showing excitement wasn't really common to Izuku, so Inko was happy that her son is happy. You meet new friends? She asked. Well, yeah, I guess. He said. He wasn't really the friendliest person in his dictionary. Izuku thought of himself more as someone polite. Well, I met someone very alike to me. His hair is the same color as mine, but it's like perfect half red and half white, he said while gesturing his hands to put better explanation. The white side would produce ice and the red side would produce flames. Inko listened at his son's words. He's the one who got the half hot, half cold quirk name before me. He chuckled as his mom laughs at the coincidences. Izuku, how about you go to your room and rest and I'll make dinner? He nodded and gave her mother a hug before going to his room. When Inko was sure that his son is in his room, Inko put out a bottle of pills and swallow much as the prescription says. Inko is sad. When she heard the doctor's words, she didn't know what to tell Izuku. She is in the brink of death in 2 months or less. The latter has the higher probability. After making dinner, also finishing her debating thoughts, Inko decided that she couldn't see her son crying. She doesn't want to. He can't stand to see him hurt. She wants to keep her son's smile for as long as she can. Till her death. I'll just write him letters and recipes. Inko thought. Then he called over Izuku as she regains her composure. Izuku. Dinner's ready. She called in a happy tone. Izuku rushed to his mom and went to sit on the dinner table. Inko's thoughts were debating again, then he looked at Izuku's small smiling face and her heart felt pain. She made up her mind. Plus, until my last moment, I want you to keep that smile. USJ in the Todoroki household, Shoto went home from his first day at UA. Surprisingly, his father was there. Tension started to fill the house's ambience. Shoto, how was school? NG asked with the hope of his son replying. There are times this happens. NG would try to act like good father to make up for his losses, but his kids doesn't really comply. All of them felt like they were just created because Endeavor wanted to beat All Might. Fuyumi forgave NG but distance was still kept. Natsuo was mad, he is especially close to Touya. He blamed their father for his loss. Shoto simply rebelled against him by not using his left side or his flames. Surprising 𝗵𝗃𝗃, Shoto replied. Met someone interesting. Then he took his leave to his room, or so his father thought. Leaving 𝗵𝗃𝗃 there, he thought to himself. Someone interesting. Shoto went straight to the room with the 𝗵𝗃𝗃s and looked at his twin's picture. Showing similarities, but he wasn't really sure. He's not the best at these things. Shoto, just like Izuku, is dense. Natsuo, his older brother who is home, came in the room to pay his respects. He woke up late earlier morning. Shoto, you woke up late too? He asked his younger brother. Shoto shook his head no. Not really. Then what are you doing here? I met someone who looks like Izuku. From his two-colored hair to his two-colored eyes. Shoto said in a serious tone. Shoto, Izuku's dead. Natsuo said with furrowed brows in his pained expression. The body wasn't found, he raged. We searched our old city and its neighboring cities. Natsuo fought back. 𝗵𝗃𝗃, hearing their screams, went to the 𝗵𝗃𝗃s. What's happening here? He asked in a stern voice, causing both boys to stop arguing. Natsuo, who was mad at 𝗵𝗃𝗃, left immediately, and Shoto just stayed there looking pissed. Shoto, we already tried looking for them. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 said to his son. Shoto huffed, then bowed to the 𝗵𝗃𝗃s before leaving. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 sighed. He looked at the two pictures in the 𝗵𝗃𝗃s. He made a painful expression as he saw the smiling faces of his dead sons. He closed the door to the room and left quietly, deciding to go to work so he could escape his sadness. Weeks passed and classes were all training and lectures. Looking at the schedule, Aizawa saw that it is time to go to the USJ. Okay class, tomorrow we will be going somewhere for class. He said in his dull voice. Now it's time to do something that will probably affect your whole school year. Everyone tensed up. What could it possibly be that it will affect that much time? Since we have this field trip tomorrow, you will be picking class representatives. It's normal, the whole class exclaimed in their thoughts. These students keep forgetting that UA is still a high school. I don't care how you do it, just pick one before class ends. Aizawa said, zipping himself in his sleeping bag, and faced the wall. Okay, we should vote class president and vice president, Iida said, chopping the air with his arms. Most of them wanted to vote for themselves, volunteering themselves. Izuku couldn't care less. How about this? Write the name of who you want to vote in a piece of paper and we'll count the results. Iida suggested. Then wouldn't that just means all of us would vote for ourselves? Denki asked. Which is why you can't write your own names. Vote for yourself. In the end, Momo Yaoyorozu became the president and Iida became vice president. The next day, Iida and Momo lined the class up to the bus. But they seemed to fail and just hive up on forcing the arrangements. In the end, class 1A is with their group of friends. Finally making it to their destination, the class went out the bus to be met by Pro Hero 13. It's 13. Uraraka exclaimed as she was a big fan. So this are your students, Aizawa-senpai. 13 said. Surprised no one's expelled yet. Aizawa hummed at his co-worker's comment. You like your class this year, huh? Aizawa just gave him a, seriously. Look. 13 laughed before setting the attention to the students. Follow me inside the building. Once inside, the students were amazed at the big dome that reminded them of Universal Studios Japan. This is where you would be practicing on saving people in natural disasters. You can see that we built different situations where you can practice. This is the unforeseen STMLTN joint, or to call it shortly, the USJ. It really is the USJ. The class exclaimed. Now 13 is explaining her quirk and her line of hero work. 13 doesn't usually fight villains, 13 does more rescue work. Izuku, who had been paying attention, suddenly caught mist appearing. Then he heard Kirishima talk. Wow. They have fake villains too. That's not fake villains. Izuku said out. He's right, everyone out. Those are real villains. 13 said. 13. Protect the students while I fight. But Eraserhead. There's so many. Izuku yelled. Eraserhead was taken aback that the kid knew who he was when he didn't even reveal anything but his scarf. But there are more important things right now. You can't be a hero with only one trick, he yelled as he charged at the low-tier villains. A man with blue hair was talking about something. A plan on killing All Might. The motives of killing All Might. All Might should be here. Where is he? He screamed as he scratched his neck, more of irritation. 13 was leading the students to leave the facility but was stopped by the mist man. The same one from 10 to 11 years ago. 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗄𝗧𝗏. 𝗬𝗓𝗓𝗄𝗧𝗏 blocked the students' way and warped them in different places after the failed attempts of attacks was shot towards him. Izuku was dropped off at the water area with 𝗬𝗬𝗓𝗄𝗧𝗏 and 𝗵𝗏𝗃. He would have easily just used his hot ice quirk to make a slide or a bridge from the boat to the shore, but he can't leave his classmates alone. Izuku can't totally control the heat of his ice quirk. He can't fully suppress the hotness to the extent where he wouldn't give them burns. He started planning on things with difficulty. What do I do? Flashes, what do I do? Izuku thought. Wait, they don't know our quirks. He suddenly blurted out. What do you mean Midoriya? 𝗧𝗪𝗚. 𝗧𝗪𝗎 asked, and 𝗵𝗏𝗃 is panicking in a corner. Your quirk works best in wet places, right? 𝗧𝗪𝗎 nodded at Izuku. And they brought you here. The idea seemed to hit 𝗧𝗪𝗎. 𝗵𝗏𝗃, we might have the upper hand here, she said to the purple head. It calmed down 𝗵𝗏𝗃 a little bit. Izuku think for more seconds. Snowstorm. Izuku thought. 𝗧𝗪𝗎, 𝗵𝗏𝗃. I want you to survive snow. Is that alright? 𝗧𝗪𝗚, I'm not good with snow Midoriya. I think I can. 𝗵𝗏𝗃 said. Izuku sighed. Think more for a few seconds, then he shot a blizzard of ice around and near them, causing the villains that surround them whine at the heat. Even his 2 classmates. You two might have a fever after this. Izuku said, I'll let a strong snowstorm lead us to the shore. 𝗵𝗏𝗃, stick to me using your ball, and 𝗧𝗪𝗎 wrap your tongue around my leg or waist so we stick to each other. Or 𝗵𝗏𝗃 use your ball to stick 𝗧𝗪𝗎 to me too. 𝗧𝗪𝗎, I need you to jump to give us boost in the air. It would be easier. I shot hot ice around so your temperature are controlled. Either way they got out of there. Izuku started his cold flames, resulting to a snowstorm-like form. It was so big and strong that not only the water area felt the cold. Was that Midoriya? Or Todoroki? Mina asked as she was with some of their classmates near the exits already. Then Todoroki walked towards them. Then it's Midoriya, they exclaimed. Todoroki tilted his head at what they were talking about, then felt a little cold more than his limits. He looked at where the wind is coming from. Now, everybody is staring at the snowstorm Izuku has created. 𝗧𝗏𝗏, the villains stopped and stared a second or two, but 𝗧𝗏 continued to fight, wasting no time. Now at the shore, Izuku, 𝗧𝗪𝗎, and 𝗵𝗏𝗃 took a breath. Izuku, who was exhausted, is at the brink of fainting. 𝗧𝗪𝗎 felt feverish. 𝗵𝗏𝗃 was shaking from the cold. 𝗧𝗏 is now barely surviving with a broken elbow and a nomo. Todoroki and Bakugo, along with Kirishima, ran to where 𝗧𝗏 is. They noticed their teacher, but 𝗧𝗏 fended them off. A gush of wind suddenly whirled around. The door opened, revealing All Might and more pro-heroes. Rushing to the center, All Might gave orders to the 3 students present. Take young Midoriya and the other 2 out of here. I have a villain to finish off. The 3 comply. Izuku, who fully went unconscious, is carried by Bakugo, and 𝗧𝗪𝗎 was carried by Kirishima, then leaves 𝗵𝗏𝗃 to Todoroki, who warmed 𝗵𝗏𝗃 up to stop the shivering. He then exchanged with Kirishima, then warmed 𝗧𝗪𝗎. The day was saved in the end. Izuku and 𝗧𝗏 was put to a stretcher and got sent to the hospital. Since Nizu announced their classes done and a week break to let them rest and upgrade security, Katsuki decided to stay with Izuku in the hospital while his auntie Inko is being called. The next day, Izuku jolted awake panting. This caught Katsuki and Inko's attention. Izuku, are you okay? Inko asked. Suddenly a flash of scenery came to Izuku. He tripped and a woman with white long hair ran to him and asked, Izuku, are you okay? He blurted out. Are you okay? Inko repeated. With a soft, confused face, Izuku nodded. Then he earned a hug. He smiled at his mother's actions. Glad you're okay, nerd. I'll call the doctor, auntie. Katsuki said as he take his leave. A few minutes later, the doctor went in. How are the others? Was Izuku's first concern. The doctor chuckled at the heroic boy. They're fine, nothing more than bruise and scratches. Aizawa and 13 they'll have their own rooms until Recovery Girl is available. How are you, Izuku? I'm fine, he answered. I remember you're that amnesia patient, right? We weren't sure if it was permanent or not. Are you willing to do some tests? Before Izuku could talk, Inko agreed. Then I'll schedule you later or tomorrow. You only fainted from exhaustion and overuse of quirk. You didn't control your temperature, which pushed yourself to a limit. You'll be fine with a few days rest recommended. Izuku nodded. Inko thanked the doctor. Midoriya-san, can we talk outside? Inko complied by following the doctor. Midoriya-san, have you told him yet? Inko shook her head no. The doctor sighed. So you don't plan on telling? Is this why you want to do tests on his amnesia? Inko nodded. If his memories as a child came back, then he'll find his real family. When I'm gone, someone will take him in. The sad conversation continued. Inko-san. He is a lucky boy to have 𝗵 found by you. The next day, Shoto decided to visit Izuku. He doesn't know why, but he has the urge to. When he arrived at the floor, he saw Katsuki leaving. Oi, icy hot, the blonde called. Oh, Bakugo, he said. Is Midoriya awake? Shoto asks. You would have to wait, he's being tested for his amnesia. Bakugo said, grumbling. He has amnesia. He didn't get it from the USJ attack, so you could calm your mind off. Shoto looked confused. Izuku had his amnesia when he was 3 years old. How did he get his name? Grr. Ask him those type of questions. How am I supposed to know? Katsuki yelled, only to be stopped by a nurse. Shoto sighed and made his way to the receptionist of the floor, and Katsuki went in the elevator. Izuku Midoriya, he said. The nurse gave him the room number and he sat on the near chairs to wait. Meanwhile, with Izuku, he jolted awake again as he dreams of sceneries. To be exact, memories. This is the 4th time. He would be put to sleep for minutes, 5 or less, only to be jolted awake by vague flashbacks. Soon enough the doctors concluded that he is slowly regaining his memories, maybe even pop it all at once in his head. Inko-san, he's starting to remember. Inko and Shoto. Inko was relieved at what she heard. Izuku would remember his family. She walked to Izuku's room as Izuku was being shot with calm sleeping serum. In the chairs next to the Izuku's hospital room door was a sitting Shoto Todoroki. Excuse me, she caught the boy's attention. Are you here for Izuku? The boy nodded. Inko looked at Shoto closely. The eyes, the hair color, the face shape, his ambience are same as Izuku. Shoto bowed. You must be Mrs. Midoriya. I'm Shoto Todoroki, Izuku's classmate. Hello, Shoto. Izuku would be asleep for a while. Are you willing to wait? She asked. Shoto just nodded. At least more time away from that old man, Shoto thought. Inko invited the boy to Izuku's room. Soon enough, nurses came in with a sleeping Izuku on a stretcher. He was carried to the bed and left there to sleep, returning to the privacy. Shoto. The boy looked at Inko. Actually, I'm dying. This surprised Shoto. Mrs. Midoriya looks so healthy. No signs of fatigue and sickness. Izuku would be alone. I adopted him with the hopes of growing old and watch him be a pro hero. Unfortunately, the world is cruel. What are trying to say, Mrs. Midoriya? His memories from amnesia will come back when he finds his real family. I want to make a request to you. If you don't mind. What is it? I'll do my best, Mrs. Midoriya. Shoto said with the barely noticeable hint of determination in his face. Inko took notice of this. You sure are determined. Shoto tilted his head. You are like Izuku. The way you show expressions are barely seen. But I can read him like a book. Mrs. Midoriya, where did his name came from? Shoto asks. Well, when I found Izuku, it was just months after my husband died. After adopting him, I named Izuku what my husband wanted to name our child. Shoto hummed in response. Soon after, Izuku started to shuffle in his sleep. Then tears started to form. Izuku! Izuku! Inko called to wake him up. The boy jolted awake for the many times this day. Is it that bad dream again? She asked. Izuku just nodded at her. Oh, your friend is here. Izuku looked at where his mother pointed. Todoroki-kun. Hello Midoriya, he said in monotone voice. Hello, Izuku returned with a smile. Somehow, Izuku looked different in Todoroki's eyes. Instead of a strong classmate, like he had seen in the USJ and at school, he was a little boy who longed for something. But content is still visible in his eyes. He must have loved Inko-san. Shoto thought. How is he gonna cope with her passing? For now, Shoto let the idea drop out of his head and just wait for the time Izuku needs comfort. He took his leave for now. He didn't want to take much up of Inko's time with his adoptive son. He waved them goodbye and both mother and son thanked him for coming. Shoto, now on the way out of the hospital, saw his sister. Fuyumi. Fuyumi, what are you doing here? He asked. Shoto, I'm here to see Mom. Wanna come with? She asked. Shoto shook his head no as his brows are furrowed. I thought Mom is in the mental, he asked. Well yeah, the mental building is behind building B of this hospital. Oh. How about you, what are you doing here? Fuyumi asked curiously. Someone interesting from class got hospitalized. Shoto said blandly. Is it a girl, she asked, teasing her little brother. No. Another answer with a bland voice. Geez Shoto, you're no fun. She pouted at his aloof brother. If there's nothing else, then I'm going. With Shoto's statement of leave, Fuyumi felt heartbreak. She couldn't take this coldness between all of them. As she watched Shoto exit the hospital, her thoughts couldn't ignore the want to be with Touya. The week break passed and students are to attend school. Midoriya didn't need to spend long wait in the hospital bed. He was discharged the day after Todoroki visited him. Well, Aizawa forced his way out of the hospital and his co-workers just gave up on him. Even Nizu. In the Midoriya apartment, coughs can be heard from the kitchen. Mom, are you okay? Izuku asks as he noticed the roughness of his mother's throat. Drink water, okay? Maybe it's dry throat. He said as he put his shoes on. Okay dear. Good luck at school. She waved bye to her son from the kitchen. Love you Mom. Love you too. Izuku happily walked to Yue. The classroom was noisy and chaotic as usual when he entered. Then just behind him, a gruffy voice spoke behind him. How are you Midoriya? Izuku looked back with a bit of stunned face, but relaxes no more than a second. How could he not? His sensei is still covered in bandages looking like a mummy. I'm okay sensei, he said. How about you sensei? Well, it's better here than the hospital. Aizawa said as they both walk. Sensei. The class shrieked, Sensei. Should you really be working right now? Aizawa sighed. He thinks it's better here than the hospital. Izuku answered for Aizawa. The dull teacher was secretly grateful for that. Go to your seats. In the next 2 weeks, the UA Sports Festival will be held, their teacher said. Aizawa-sensei, is it really okay for the sports festival to continue? The UA Sports Festival is an important event on par with the Olympics. We can't just cancel it. Plus, we'll just be giving what the villains want by doing that. The class nodded as they understood. In these 2 weeks, I want you all to train. Since I'm too disabled to do actual lessons, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 will take over in training you with his clones. Good luck. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 came in. Okay let's go outside. The class went to the changing room then went to where 𝗧𝗵𝗃 is. Well, you have the whole hour to yourself with my clones, call me if they die out. I'll try to attend to you whenever I can. 𝗧𝗵𝗃 said as he create his clones. Sports Festival the day before the sports festival. Izuku was excited to go home, sleep, and wake up the next morning. Arriving home, Izuku was not greeted by Inko. With the thought that she will come back later, he went to his room, do the few homeworks and rest in the living room a bit and watch the television. Not long later, jingling of keys are heard and the door opened revealing no one else but Mama Inko. Hey Mom. You're late today. Rough day. Inko looked tired than usual. And a bit down. How about I'll make dinner Mom? Rest for a bit okay? Izuku offered. I want to cook for you at least this last time. Inko thought. How about we cook together? Ink smiled wide. A small smile like usual appeared on Izuku's face. Okay then. After Inko changed, she was determined to stay happy and be hypothetical for and with Izuku. He may not be her real son by BLD, but he's worth more than the universe to her. Inko already said goodbye to Mitsuki, who accepted her death as a request from Inko. Of course Mitsuki would want to spend more time with her best friend since high school, but Izuku would need his mother more. After making dinner, the two ate talking to each other. For Izuku, somehow, their conversation is happier than usual, which made him smile more than he usually do. He showed his childish side that rarely comes out, where his chuckles became loud laughs, satisfying Inko's heart and wishes. Izuku's wide smile after that. They ready for bed. Hey Izuku. Can you sleep beside me tonight? Just for tonight. Izuku agreed to his mother's wishes. Now on the bed together. Inko and Izuku were just enjoying each other's presence. Mom. Promise me you'll watch me live tomorrow. I'll blow you a kiss if I ever got caught in the camera. Inko chuckled. Yeah. I will. I'm sorry Izuku. I won't be able to see you be cool in the sports festival. Izuku. Always remember that I love you, okay? I love you too, Mom. Promise. Promise. Thank you, Izuku. The next day, Izuku woke up early and alone in his mom's bed. Smelling the aroma of katsudon, he immediately rushed out the room and to the dining. I delivered your favorite. Inko said, keeping her smile. Mom. Good morning. Good morning, Izuku. Okay. You don't want to be tired all day if you want to win. Before she even knew it, her son already ate half the bowl. Slow down. You still have an hour and a half before call time. Izuku nodded but ate the same speed. Inko sighed and smiled in defeat. Soon enough, she gave one last look at his son with proud eyes. She tears up, Izuku. You're so cool. I'm so proud of you. She exclaimed, hugging him. Don't cry, Mom. You'll see better stuff in the future. She just nodded and sent her son off. After a few minutes Izuku left, she decided it's time for her to leave too. Taking one last look at the apartment and reminiscing memories of her and Izuku playing and laughing. Everyone is pumped up. Even Izuku and Shoto, who showed neutral faces, reek of determination and winning. With the crowd full of energy, Present Mike and Midnight started welcoming the start of the festival. Aizawa was just contradicting everything Mike says in the background, maybe small arguments here and there. A lot of heroes will be watching and is sure that they want to recruit students to join their agency. Especially 𝗵𝗃𝗏. He came to watch his son, Shoto, to win the first place. But there's something more that awaits the hero. Now on the sidelines, 𝗵𝗃𝗏 is standing proudly in his hero suit and flames. Now that all classes are here, Izuku Midoriya, as the representative of the first years, please give a motivation speech. Midnight called out. The redhead walked towards the small stage. Enji's eyes widen a bit at the familiarity. The hue of red, the tips that naturally fade into white. How could he not? The youngest child, his youngest son, had the same hair. With his thoughts he didn't get to hear what the boy said. Izuku walked down on stage, with Midnight announcing the first event. An obstacle course. The students are ready at the starting line, all they are waiting for is the go signal. And on cue, start. Midnight yelled. The first thing that happened was ice. Shoto froze the whole tunnel with the hopes of freezing everyone and get a head start. Of course some of 1A saw this coming. Shoto was now running in the lead, but he felt heat. Hot like his flames. Izuku. Red-hot ice path now taking the lead. The crowd went wild as this became a two-man show rather than one. Soon enough, both ice and fire users heard screaming. Bakugu, they both sighed. Present Mike as commentator hyped the crowd more and more, others were still stuck with 0-pointers and the two simply used their different ice quirk to pass through them. Izuku felt sorry for those who touched his hot blizzards, but he needs to make his mama proud. Apparently, Shoto and Izuku are pretty much doing the same thing and in the same speed. The only difference is hot and one is cold. 𝗵𝗃𝗏 was still eyeing Izuku wide-eyed. Instead of Shoto, he took interest in Izuku. Not in the way of training him to be the next #1, maybe if he brought him back, just maybe. Their family would slowly build up into a happy one again. He wants to make things better piece by piece. Looks like the two in the lead are being considerate folks. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗏 announced since both boys avoided the mind bombs without their quirk. They're not being considerate, those bombs will blow up when the others will arrive. Which will slow them down. Eraserhead sighed. Come on, Eraser. That's not a comment to hype the crowd. Then Bakugo started throwing faint explosions at mines in front of Shoto and Izuku, which made a war of three. Looks like they're fighting for the lead. Eraser, what do you teach these kids to have so much determination? I don't do anything, they just have the will to be number one. Oh look, someone's coming out. And our first place is Izuku's rage. Look, someone's coming out. And our first place is Izuku Midoriya, everybody. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗏 announced. The crowd cheered and Shoto got second and Bakugo got third. The quirk with spiky rubies is first. Amazing. A guy from the crowd said as he thought it was Izuku's quirk. And more comments. Once everybody arrived, now, for the next event. Everyone waited intently for Midnight's announcement. Cavalry battle, she exclaimed. Students were quite confused, so she went on with the rules. Same rules as the anime. Currently Izuku is now struggling finding teammates, all because of his headband that's worth 10 million. Fortunately, someone same as him came up. No other than Shoto Todoroki. How about we help each other out to get to top? Shoto says, making Izuku smile small. They almost look alike. Then, they were joined by 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗏 from the support course, and 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗁𝗏, their classmate. I can handle both temperatures, baby. 𝗵 exclaimed, making Izuku chuckle a bit. I do well in different temperature, I guess. 𝗃𝗁𝗏 said with a somewhat depressing tone. Time's up. Now, let the cavalry battle begin. Meanwhile, in the hospital, Inko Midoriya is sitting on the bed watching his son win the obstacle race while waiting for the nurse to come back with the sleeping serum. Aside from her many requests for Izuku, dying in her sleep was one of her wishes. The last time Inko Midoriya was in the clinic, the doctor already gave her the amount of time she has left. So she went to Mitsuki, then eventually to her son. Right now, she's willing to accept her death and hoped Izuku for a happy life. She fell asleep after a few minutes of the serum affecting her. Her heartbeat in the monitor is still normal, too early to say, as the nurse said that to her coworker. The heartbeat suddenly went wild, slow, fast, slow, slow, fast, then drop. The sound of flatline ringed in the room. Aside from that, the TV which played Izuku Midoriya's team won the cavalry battle. A close doctor to Inko came closer to her. Your son won, Inko, she said, holding Inko's hands. The female doctor looked at the nurse. Of course they know what to do. They covered her body and took her away from the room. Back at the sports festival, Midnight was announcing break before the one-on-one tournament. Enji Todoroki was waiting for his son to have a little talk with him. Instead of Shoto, he bumped into Izuku. Oh, you're the Ruby Quirk guy, 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗏 said as he raised his brow. Izuku gave him a look that Shoto normally wears. Neutral face. Not really, he answered. Then what do you call your quirk? Well, it won't be a surprise anymore later, but it's Cold Flames Hot Ice. It's basically what the name is. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗏's eyes widen. You have almost the same quirk as my son. 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗏 ruffled his head. Izuku bowed at the hero, then walked his own way. Izuku went to lunch with Katsuki, and Katsuki's newfound friends joined them. Namely, Kirishima, Siro, Mina, and Kaminari Denki. Look, pairings are posted already. Denki pointed at the big screen. After 40 minutes of wandering around the festival stalls, Midnight finally announced the start of tournament. First battle is Izuku, who is matched up with someone who knows what his rubies do when touched. No, it's not Hitoshi Shinso, I won't be naming this character. Izuku took notice of this and just scared the boy away with his hot ice until he's out of bounds. He's saving his cold flames for stronger matches. Izuku dubbed winner of the first match. His classmate Siro Hanta started making his way at the center. Meanwhile, at the waiting halls under the stadium, Shoto is making his way to the center of the stadium. On his way out is a waiting 𝗵𝘃𝗃𝗏. You're in my way. Shoto said, making Endeavor feel a bit of guilt but pushed it away. Use your fire, Shoto, after that I'll be a father again. You were never a father, what do you mean by again? Shoto replied with hatred seeping out his voice. What? Can't talk. I won't use your power in fighting. You'll reach the limit of that power soon. Shoto walked out mad. His match was fast, taking out his anger at 𝗧𝗏. As the match announced start, 𝗧𝗏 wrapped his tape around Todoroki with the plan of pulling him out of bounds. Unfortunately, the latter is not in the best mood right now. Todoroki used his ice, freezing a part of the stadium. The ice was so big that the whole stadium felt cold. It can also be seen from outside the stadium, which shocked the pro heroes patrolling outside. Sorry, I took my anger out on you. Todoroki apologized as he melts the ice off 𝗧𝗏. After that, more matches took place before finally, both boys with quite similar quirks are called on to battle. Izuku Midoriya from Hero Course. And Shoto Todoroki also from Hero Course. Both of these kids have almost the same quirk actually. Present mic announced. The crowd saw Todoroki's quirk in full power. What about Izuku's? The curious crowd was excited for the match. Though Todoroki took notice of Izuku's difference in his expression. A few minutes before the match, Izuku is sitting with Bakugo with the crowd. Wajiro came to them saying that a call was ringing from Midoriya's locker. Izuku was excited, thinking that it might be his mom calling him to congratulate. A low-key happy redhead speed walked to the locker rooms and took his still ringing phone. He didn't bother to look at the caller or the number. He answered, "Hey hello Mr. Midoriya. This is the hospital." He was cut off by the caller. Izuku overcame with worry all of the sudden. Is there something wrong? He stuttered. Your mother must have kept things a secret, but she has this illness for quite a while now and she's already dead. In one phrase, the nurse from the other line went straight to the point. Izuku's head went low. You're joking, right? An angry voice echoed in the room. It's not real. He said, not accepting anything the nurse said. I know you have a battle soon. But she said to show your best to the crowd. I came to pass that message too. So instead of running off to the hospital, Izuku stayed and went to his match. Proving my cold flames once is enough to show right. Then I'll say my goodbyes to you properly. He whispered to himself, hiding his tears and turning them to rage. With furrowed brows, Izuku came out of the shadows and met Todoroki in the middle. Start. Shoto immediately aimed his ice at Midoriya, only to be countered by the latter's hot ice, making steam seep off the stadium. Why is there fog? Steam. What's happening? The confused crowd went on. Then comes in present mic. Actually folks, Izuku Midoriya's quirk are not just red crystals. That is hot ice. Talk about frozen lava, listeners. Hey you. Midoriya called as his head was down, leaving shadows for his eyes. How am I supposed to tell my mom that I showed my best if you don't use your fire? Shoto's eyes widened at his statement. He ignored it and continued to aim his ice to Izuku, who kept countering them. Soon enough, both ice breaks off or melts due to their scientific reactions. The younger had enough. Use your fire, damn it. Izuku's screams had surprised Shoto. Not only Shoto but Endeavor is surprised himself. The half-and-half boy didn't know why, but he had the urge to use his flames. Burning his uniform, Shoto let out his flames on his left side, making Izuku chuckle in content. That's it, he said as tiny snow and snowflakes started to form on Izuku, slowly detaching and falling to the ground. The coolness being let out as bluish-white flames slowly grows. Todoroki grew his flames, aiming to Midoriya. The latter grew his cold flames, creating a snowstorm-like experience around the stadium. Two temperatures fighting for its own victory. Eraser. What's with your class? Mike commented. Now with the snowstorm, the only way for every watcher to know the upper hand is whether the red flames they see would take over the cold. Not controlling his emotions, just like Shoto earlier, he took out his anger in the battlefield. Intensifying the cold fire he has, the temperature is getting lower, some walls are starting to freeze and blizzards are forming. Todoroki's red flames are slowly disappearing until it's completely cold only. Midnight put Izuku to sleep as there seems to be no stop to this. Once the redhead is asleep, the flames disappeared and so is the storm-like occurrence, leaving only the frosts on the walls and some snow on the ground, making the stadium look Christmas-themed. All other heroes and watchers could do was stand there frozen and stunned at the stunt Izuku Midoriya pulled off. Aftermath. Once everything can be seen clear, Todoroki is on the ground, knocked out, shivering from the cold. He uses his ice but can never go to a temperature lower than what his powers set. In Izuku's case, just like how Endeavor can adjust the high of his flames, he can adjust the flames lower. Both boys knocked out was brought to Recovery Girl. On the bed, Midoriya woke up and remembered the hospital. And so, ignoring Recovery Girl, he ran out of the infirmary, changed his clothes, and made his way fast to the hospital. The ambience of the hospital was depressing for the boy. Once arrived at the floor where her mother is said to be, he opened the door and saw the dead body of her mother. The nurses and doctors left the room to give him time and privacy. Seeing his mother lifeless on the metal bed, he took her hand and cried on it. On the floor, he wasn't like his usual stoic self. His emotions are all out there, he screamed. Luckily, rooms like that are soundproof. It avoided disturbance of other parts of the hospital. W.I. Didn't you tell me? I could have spent more time. With why? Izuku said in between sobs. And no. Wonder why you have those strange requests. I could have given more. Mom. I did my best. I won. So please, don't leave me. You haven't even seen me fight a villain yet. Please. Please, Izuku's voice becomes a whisper as his pleadings end only to start a loud cry again. It was the afternoon and the sports festival is almost at finish. In all honesty, Katsuki would admit he's scared facing off Izuku. He knows that his friend is different today, but he didn't know why. The redhead didn't tell him anything. Instead of fighting head-on with Izuku, Katsuki won by default. He was happy he won, mad that he didn't get a good fight, and worried that his friend didn't show up. Izuku wasn't the type to run away. Shoto ended up second because Midoriya was gone, Katsuki at first and Tokoyami at third. Back at the hospital, the doctors came to check up on Izuku. The boy fell asleep on the floor with his head leaning beside the bed, holding his mother's hand. It was obvious that the boy cried for hours. It's already midnight and he went in there around 3 or 4 where the sun is still up. The female doctor who checked called a male nurse or at least someone who could help carry Izuku to a room. It's the least she can do for the pitiful kid. They offered the boy a hospital bed. Poor kid, he cried himself to exhaustion. The male doctor said, "Is he gonna be part of the foster system?" She asked him. He's almost 16, the government allows them to be alone if they can provide for themselves. Kids his age won't usually get adopted easily. He answered. They closed the door behind them and continue with work. The next day, early morning. They check on Izuku's room but he wasn't there anymore. A note was left though. Thank you for providing a room. It was a simple note but admirable for someone who's suffering. It's the weekends Izuku has all day free to himself. He chose to go home and lock himself in this mother's room, not minding the kitchen or any other part of the house. He took the pink cardigan in her drawer, the one she always wears. I miss you, he said as he hugged the clothing on the floor. He himself to sleep again. Waking up a few hours later, he stares to the wall looking at nothing but playing happy memories in his head. I should have noticed, he mumbled. He would go to the bathroom, drink water, sometimes thought of hurting himself. But he knew better than that and turn away immediately. He would wrap himself in a blanket and just sit on Inko's bed. This was all he was doing until the next day. Sunday passed fast for Izuku. The boy only cried, sleep, and bathroom the whole day. He didn't feel like going to school either. It was as if he forgot his dreams of becoming a hero. Then knocks on the door were heard. It got more aggressive and aggressive as seconds pass. The redhead knew that it was his blonde friend knocking on the door. He didn't want to deal with anything so he ignored the knocks until Katsuki disappeared. He was successful at wasting the angry blonde's time that Katsuki went to school late. At UA, the two friends are supposed to be with each other, but no Midoriya came into session. Bakugo was late. He slammed the door opened angrily and went to his seat, ignoring Izawa. The class waited for the other tardy but no one else. Just Bakugo. Bakugo, where's Midoriya? Sensei, Bakugo shrugged. That nerd's the reason I'm late, he exclaimed. He wasn't at home. No one was answering their door. I couldn't reach his phone too, he said, calming down a bit. Izawa sighed, rubbing things off as a one-time thing. But boy was he so wrong. Izawa resumed his class. Actually, you're just in time, Bakugo. We'll be talking about agencies that wants to recruit you. Erase the list. Izawa showed the list to the class, Midoriya having the most number of agencies, then Shoto, then Bakugo. The rest of the class also had been recruited but can't really compare to the three's number. You have 3 weeks to choose. And it's time to pick hero names. Since I'm not really the best with this type of stuff, Midnight will take over. With that, Izawa put on his sleeping bag and slept on the floor. Then Midnight slammed the door so hard that it made a bam. Hello 1MD. So, the class continued. No show Izuku went on the whole week, up until the half of the next. And Izuku's achievements in those days is he has advanced himself to self-harm, just as he thought that he knew better. He doesn't know what he was doing until it finished. All he could do after is sob his sorries to his dead mother when he sees himself in the mirror. Yes, he does eat. Instant ramen was all he ate. He gave up on the non-eating spree after the 4th day of his self-confinement. And due to his lack of emotion control, Izuku lacked the control of his quirk. Whenever he walked the halls to get ramen or to the bathroom, either his cold or hot would activate. It's now Wednesday. Izuku has locked himself up from the world 12 days straight since last Saturday. Izawa ended the class but called Bakugo to stay a little longer. He knew that the blonde has a close tie to Izuku. He couldn't allow his student to continue like this, especially a promising one. What if he's in danger? That's what worries the teacher most. Bakugo, how many days has Izuku lost contact? He asked Bakugo. After he left from the sports festival, the blonde answers. Is his house locked? Katsuki nods. How about her mother? I haven't heard from Auntie Inko since the last time I saw her, he replied to his sensei. Your family's close, right? Does your mom know anything? Izawa asked, hoping this would lead to something. I don't know. But old hag's been acting weird lately. Let me talk to Nizu. You wait outside. Izawa said. After talking with Nizu, specifically asking permission to break in the Midoriya apartment, the principal nodded. Bakugo, we're gonna break in Midoriya's home. Bakugo wide-eyed, surprised at the fact that they're actually gonna break in. Meanwhile, Izuku was in another session of cutting in the bathroom. His vision started blur and he straight to shake. Oops. I went too deep, he said in a weak voice then. I don't want to see you depressed. Izawa and Katsuki are now in front of the apartment. Knocked on the door hoping they didn't have to break it, but it remained as a hope. Bakugo blew up the front door revealing mess. Ramen cups on the floor, temperature is not constant. You'll see some of Izuku's hot red eyes glowing like lava in the dark, some snow-like stuff are on the floor. What happened here? The blonde let out as he took a peek in Izuku's room and opened the lights. The room's untouched, sensei. He said. Izawa made his way to Katsuki from the kitchen, avoiding burning himself from the hot ice. It was weird, the mess outside was far from his room, though dust may be seen on some surfaces. Then they checked the next room. Inko Midoriya's room. This is Auntie Inko's room, by the look of this house. I think she hasn't seen it yet, Bakugo said. Izawa slowly turned the doorknob to open a somewhat messy room. A burr of ramen cups at the corners, some of Izuku's quirks on the floor. And walls. Though it was colder than any places in the house, frost unplastered on the walls, the floor where you could slip and fall as if you're in a skating rink. Blanket a mess on the bed and a crinkled pink cardigan. A faint smell of iron meets Izawa's nose. His eyes widen. Bakugo. The bathroom. His student complied and ran to the bathroom. Worry filled both investigators. The smell only gets stronger and stronger as they near the door. They only have to push it wide open. What they saw made them put horror in their faces. Izuku Midoriya is on his own puddle of blood. Izawa immediately called for help and Bakugo ran to the knocked out Izuku and pulled his friend in a hug. He checked the pulse, slow and faint but it's still there, he exclaimed at Izawa. Tears slowly formed his eyes. What the hell, nerd? He said as he tries to stop the slow bleeding. The ambulance is here, Bakugo. Izawa said as sirens were heard outside. Katsuki carried his friend to the stretcher then called his mom. Where are you, damn brat, you're late and He rarely calls me mom. Mitsuki thought before answering. Katsuki, what happened? She changed her tone to a soft one. Izuku. At the hospital. Please. Bring me there. No. Please. He said in between sobs. Katsuki, where are you? Izuku's. Mitsuki hang up. Izawa went with Izuku in the ambulance. Not long later, a car stopped in front of the blonde. He knows it's their car and he went in the back seat. The ambulance already got him. Izawa-sensei is with him. Katsuki was calm. Mitsuki, however, felt even more depressed than she already is. It's my fault. It's my fault. Mitsuki cried with tears as she drives. What do you mean, Mom? I should have been there for Izuku. I'm supposed to look after him. She continued her blame. Old hag. What are you talking about? Katsuki yelled to get his mother's attention. Inko's dead, Katsuki. She said. Auntie. Inko. No funeral was held. But she is buried properly with a proper grave. The rest of the car ride was quiet. Meanwhile with Izawa. Izuku is now clean and put into an 4. He has his own hospital room. The doctor came in and looked at Izuku more pitifully than she did last time. Poor kid, she said. Izawa raised a brow. You met him before, he asked. He noticed the attachment of the nurse to his student in her eyes. His mother died the day of UA Sports Festival, the nurse said. So that's what happened, huh? Izawa looked at his student. He's by himself, the nurse added. Izawa gave a shocked look. Mrs. Midoriya's husband died 12 years ago. Why are you telling me this? The sleepy ma'am asks. I'm a friend of the Midoriyas, you look like you can help him, she said. Izuku suffered amnesia when he was just 3, his memories are starting to return slowly. We are now waiting if he remembers anything about his original family. He's adopted. Inko found him crying in an alley and brought him here 11 to 12 years ago. Got attached to the child and felt lonely after Hisashi's death. So she adopted. Izawa nodded at her. The door creaked open. How's his condition? Katsuki asked as he walks towards them with his mother following behind. He'll be fine. He'll probably wake up tomorrow. He just dropped because of the blood loss and exhaustion. Though he may need help mentally when he wakes up. A bit later, the Bakugis decided to stay with Izuku. Izawa has to go home and sleep a bit before his patrol starts. The next day, Class 1A was energetic as usual. Everyone is an early 𝗵𝗄 to school. A quiet Shoto was thinking HRD on his desk. He recruited Izuku into his agency. What does he want with him? His thoughts were swirling around the fact that his father recruited his classmate. Lately, his father has been acting weird. Less strict and more smiling or good mood. He doesn't have any bad intentions to show either. He stopped pushing Shoto to his limits. Actually, Enji found something interesting the weekend after the sports festival that is worth smiling and thought of as life-changing. The hero thought he could fix his family again. He wanted to be a good father to his son and make up for his mistakes with the 3. Izawa went in the classroom looking tired more than usual. Class. Quiet down, he said. The class complied. Today, Bakugo is not here, and Midoriya is not here since last week. I'll get straight to the point. Midoriya is in the hospital for now. Bakugo is there taking care of him. He's the only person Midoriya has left. Shoto's eyes widen. He knew exactly what happened. Mrs. Midoriya died already. Everyone looked at him. Did I say that out loud? Now really in his thoughts. How do you know that, Todoroki? Sensei asked. Talked to her once. She made me keep a promise. And that's the end of his talking, not willing to tell more. Then, keep that promise, kid. Aizawa said. The day went on. Izuku woke up after lunch. Oi nerd. Izuku looked at Bakugo. I'm sorry Kaken, the redhead said. Just don't do it again, okay? Oh, Kaken cares. The tease was lacking emotion, but it's enough to make the blonde embarrassed. I see, I was worried for nothing after all. I don't like seeing you depressed, Kaken. I don't want to see you depressed too. Damn nerd. Shoto's promise. Shoto heard what happened to Izuku. He didn't know why, but he has this urge to visit him. Weekend came, and to satisfy that urge, he hurried his way to the hospital after breakfast. Besides, someone should give the list of recruits to Midoriya. Once there he was met with Bakugo again. This time, the blonde wasn't coming out but coming in the hospital. Icy hot. What are you doing here? Quiet Bakugo, we're at the hospital. The blonde gave a 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗧𝗏 with crossed arms and furrowed brows. Looking back at Todoroki again, what are you doing here? He asked again. Well, someone needs to bring this to Midoriya. Shoto shows the list of agencies that Izuku can choose on. Then let's go. I'll lead the way. Katsuki walked towards the elevator followed by Shoto. Arriving at the right floor, they walked down the hall a little more. Then there's the door that says Midoriya on it. The doctor that just came out Midoriya's room saw Shoto and said, I didn't know Izuku has a brother. This caught both boys' attention. Oh, Dr. 𝗧𝗵𝗃, he's just a classmate. Katsuki said, oh, my bad, you look kinda alike. Dr. 𝗧𝗵𝗃, the female doctor who took care of Izuku since then, passed both boys. The two went in to see Izuku sitting and looking out the window. Izuku. The redhead noticed Katsuki's voice and immediately turned to him. Hello. Oh, hi Todoroki. He greeted. The two boys sat by Izuku's bedside with the available seats. Aizawa gave me your list of recruits, Shoto said as he handed Izuku the papers. There's so many, the redhead exclaimed, showing some emotions of excitement. After looking through the list, Izuku chose Endeavor Agency. Then I'll tell my father, Shoto said. He noticed that Izuku felt empty. Despite showing lack of emotions, Izuku was always filled with determination. This time, Izuku was empty. No flames of fight in him can be seen. Katsuki noticed the pity look Shoto is giving Izuku. He immediately pulled the staring boy out the room. Izuku, excuse us for a minute, he said before closing the door. What are you doing? Shoto asked. Don't look at Izuku like that. Like what? With pity. Shoto was shocked for a moment. He's been diagnosed with depression for the meantime. That's why I can't leave his side. During daytime I am here, Mom takes over at night. Aizawa would visit every 10 minutes before his patrol. Depression? Shoto asked, even more shocked, but hid his emotion inside. Katsuki nodded. We saw him, Aizawa and I decided to break in his home. It was a mess. His quirk was all over the place, empty ramen cups scattered on the floor. The last thing we saw horrified us. Izuku was in his own puddle of blood. With cuts. He can't seem to remember the time when he cuts. Bakugo, why are you telling me this? Shoto asked. The blonde sighed. He doesn't want anyone looking at him with pity. He hates it just as much as I do. I don't know why, but I think he got it from his original family. Shoto then understands. His phone rang and he saw Fuyumi was the caller. Tell Izuku that I'll take my leave, he said, then waved by at Bakugo. He then answered the call. Fuyumi. Shoto. Father found something. I don't care about dash, he got cut off. Please. All I want is for a family again. He couldn't ignore his sister's pleading. So he hung up and went home. At the Todoroki household, Enji, Fuyumi, and Natsuo are gathered at the dinner table. The front door opens, revealing Shoto. The boy immediately saw the file on the table. What's that? DNA results? He asked the three. Izuku is alive. Enji said. He's your classmate Shoto, he added. The boy exactly knew who he was talking about. Fuyumi and Natsuo were happy and smiling, even though they try to hide it. He doesn't deserve this family then, he said, shocking Enji. I know dash, if he really is my brother, I don't want him here. Shoto repeated. What are you saying, Shoto? Fuyumi exclaimed. He has depression and this family will only make that worse. He shouted angrily at the three. What? Natsuo stuttered out. Shoto, what do you know? Enji asked. He has depression. His adoptive mother died only just recently, specifically the day of the sports festival. That's why his quirk was uncontrollable then. His amnesia is being treated, I don't want to ruin the recovery. He explained. I don't even want him in your agency. But I can't do anything about his choice. Enji was shocked that the boy would pick his agency. I made a promise. Shoto said. The three listened intently. I promised Mrs. Midoriya to make sure Izuku was safe and happy with his new family. That's why I couldn't let him here. Shoto, Fuyumi and Natsuo let out. Shoto, let me make things right. Let's start by taking care of Izuku. Then you're Father, this family isn't what Izuku needs. It's about Mom. I'll start visiting her. This statement shocked Fuyumi and Natsuo. Really? Was they both let out? Shoto nodded. Prove to me you changed, then I'll let Izuku stay here. Dote on him, care for him, make up everything on us. Do anything you want but don't rush Izuku's memories and tell him we're family. Not yet, Shoto said. Shoto, thank you for this chance. Was Endeavor's thoughts at the moment. Enji, this is your one-time chance. Everything will be fixed. With that, Izuku was set on Endeavor's agency, so is Shoto. Aside from accepting his flames, he also wants to keep an eye on Izuku and Endeavor. In the teacher's lounge of UA, Aizawa is making a call to Endeavor. Finally, the non-stop talking assistant gave the phone to Endeavor. Endeavor speaking. Endeavor, this is Shota Aizawa, Eraserhead, homeroom of 1A. Aizawa said. Did Shoto cause any trouble? The flame hero asked. No, it's about Izuku Midoriya. He chose your agency, but he's gonna join you late. It's okay, I heard from Shoto. Aizawa, I need your help with something. I hope we can arrange a meeting. Endeavor said. Aizawa was surprised at the sudden call, but heroes do have unexpected work, so he thought it was about hero work. Where do you want to meet? My office will be fine. Endeavor said, ending the call immediately after. Aizawa shrugged. The Erasure hero decided to visit Izuku that night. When he opened the door to his hospital room, he was surprised to see Shoto aside from the Bakugas. Todoroki, what are you doing here? He sighed. Visiting a classmate sensei. I'll be off a bit later as Katsuki. Shoto said. Shoto couldn't say to Aizawa that Izuku is his brother, the latter would hear. Izuku knowing was what Shoto is avoiding. Aizawa looked at Katsuki, who was fixing his stuff about to go home with Masaru. Suddenly, Izuku winced a bit, catching everyone's attention. They all looked at the red head holding his forehead. Izuku, are you okay? Katsuki asked, leaving his packing on hold, and rushed beside Izuku. Just a memory. He said. What did you see now? Asked Katsuki. Fire in a traditional room. Also shouting. And sirens. Shoto went wide-eyed. He immediately looked away. Katsuki noticed this and made a mental note to talk to Todoroki later. Well, don't mind too much about those flashes, okay? The doctor said everything will come together in paces. The redhead nodded, then yawned. Midoriya, you need rest. Mitsuki will stay with you like usual. The rest of us will go. Get better soon, said Aizawa. You go at the front entrance, Katsuki. I'll get the car from the parking lot and pick you up there. Masaru said. Katsuki complied. AMD walked out, saying goodbye to Izuku. Todoroki followed him out. Walking the halls of the hospital, Katsuki started a conversation. Plus, what is Izuku to you? I know you know something we don't. What he wants to show and mean. What is Izuku to you? I know you know something we don't. Shoto sighed at the blonde. I will tell you, but don't tell Izuku my father did a DNA test. Izuku is my brother. You gotta be shizzing me. Katsuki yelled, getting stares from people, making Shoto shush him. I'll tell you the story, the half and half said. They both are now at the entrance. Since Masaru wasn't there yet, Katsuki decided to ask the reason of not telling his friend. Hey, why not tell Izuku? Our father's 𝗵𝗲𝗃𝗲 was all Shoto blurted, leaving the blonde at the entrance. Katsuki was shocked that 𝗫𝗏𝗏 was like that in reality. He has always thought that the hero was cool. He could even tell that Izuku's favorite hero was 𝗫𝗏𝗏. From his hero name to his stoic personality, he may not be the ideal hero, but Izuku liked the way 𝗫𝗏𝗏 try hard to achieve to be number one. It's what the hero's hero name means. The redhead believe they have the same determination. Katsuki sighed as he entered his father's car that had just arrived. Masaru saw this problematic face. "Hey Katsuki, you okay?" Katsuki only gave a hum. The blonde's thoughts went to the Bakuga's plan on adopting Izuku. If 𝗫𝗏𝗏 was really a problem, then they are sure to continue the invite. Of course, this blonde will not expect what he will hear next from Todoroki. The next day, Izuku was still in the hospital and visited by the usual Katsuki. Meanwhile, at 𝗫𝗏𝗏's agency, Izawa left his classes early to meet 𝗫𝗏𝗏. Entering the office, he asked, "What job are you in for me today?" before even looking up. When he did not saw 𝗫𝗏𝗏 but Enji Todoroki. The man was out of his hero costume and looks defeated sitting on his chair. "Izawa, you have a family, right?" The black-haired hero grew curious of the conversation. "Yes, why?" 𝗫𝗏𝗏 knew that Izawa was a good dad. He once saw the family out once. "I'm a terrible father." The flame hero said, "Did you know that I have 2 dead sons?" Izawa wide-eyed. As far as he know, 𝗫𝗏𝗏 has 3 kids, but recently Nizu had told him that 𝗫𝗏𝗏 did have 2 more sons. Izawa nodded. "I did a DNA test actually. One is still alive." Izawa was surprised. "Yes, but what's the matter gotta be? I had so many mistakes. I abused my family. They hate me. I neglected Fuyumi and Natsuo, trained Shoto and Touya past their limits, didn't save Izuku in time, and sent their mother to the mental ward." Shoto went wide-eyed. He felt anger grew inside him. "What do you mean Izuku?" he asked the flame hero. "I don't know how he kept his name Izuku, but Izuku Midoriya is my son." "That will be a problem. Izuku can't stay in a house of a broken family," stated Izawa. "Shoto doesn't want me to take him for the very same purpose, but I want to make everything right. Because of Izuku, the kids gave me a chance. Shoto would not allow Izuku in the family unless I changed. So basically you need a How to Be a Father 101 for me." Enji nodded. Izawa sighed. "Izuku right now is lonely, basically grieving from his adoptive mother's death. I assume you don't want to tell him before everything is fixed, right?" Enji nodded again. All the 4 Todorokis want to do was give Izuku a peaceful and happy family. How about visit him, dote on him like a father, show your kindness to him and your good means to him? The teacher suggested. The look on Enji was a bit hesitant as he saw the kid was like Shoto. Enji Todoroki, they may seem stoic and serious, but kids will always be kids. Even if they don't show, they want a doting and loving family. They want attention of their parents in a good way. Izuku sometimes can be childish. One moment he was so serious, the other, he just seems like a lost 5-year-old. The doctors said that his memory may be affecting his personality. Amnesia can get pretty complicated. What does his childishness have to do with this? Enji asked, confused. Izawa sighed tiredly. He just stated a long talk earlier, then he has to explain again. "I may not be a fan of kids because they aren't easy to handle, but I did learn that kids are easy to persuade and make happy. Izuku is smart and kind like his adoptive mother, met the woman once. If ever he'll know the truth. He may be mad, but in the end, forgiveness will take over him. Because that's the morals he was taught." Enji nodded in understanding. "I get it now, but if you hate children so much, why be a teacher?" Enji couldn't count how many times Izawa sighed in their meeting. "I was forced Yamada, Namuri and Tensei. Any more questions?" he said sleepily. Enji shook his head no. "Then, let me ask you a question." Enji raised a brow at Izawa. "What is it? Why did you decide to be a better father?" "Realization and interference. Why did you decide to be a better father?" asked Izawa. "Not that people can't change, it's just, something must have brought the flame hero to reality. Last year, a few months before Shoto's entrance exam in February, Enji went to the mall. It was nothing special really. He happens to need something in his rest day. What he didn't expect was to see Yagi Tashinori, or All Might, the #1 hero and symbol of peace, with his family. He acts so differently towards his family and his hero form. Enji thought. He felt somehow in pain, the sight of a young blonde girl teasing with her older brother. Tashinori holding his wife like a treasure. Walking past him were the smiles of the Yagi family. Jealous? No. Just realized something. His memories played in his head like a movie, the mistakes he made, the abuse he put upon, the cries of his kin. I was the problem all along, he murmured to himself. Enji became aware of himself. After that, days passed. In those past days, every night he would dream. The dream was happy, but he would wake up sad. It's a dream where he was with Rei. Deep down, he knows he loves Rei. Rei would be by his side watching the kids. Izuku was playing with Shoto, Fuyumi watching over, Touya and Natsuo debating whether who's the best brother. But Izuku would end up choosing Shoto. The sight would disappear every time, then he'll wake up crying. On the other end, if there are dreams, there are nightmares. The family was complete, peaceful, laughing at the dinner table. But where is he? He's not a part of it. He's nowhere to be seen. He would wake up crying again. From that, he had a new dream. Forget surpassing All Might. He'll make things right slowly. Bring flowers to Rei every time he can, even though he wasn't allowed to see her, he would just send them. He'll make up with the kids, he'll slowly start with Shoto, hoping Fuyumi would forgive him. Natsuo would let him talk. Saw a family, the memories flashed to me like a movie. I see and admit my mistakes, wrongs, and faults. If I want to move forward, admitting my wrongs would be the first step in changing. I won't force their forgiveness, I have to earn them. The flame hero said. Aizawa nods. I'll help you. The statement shocked Enji. The kid deserves a right family. And Shoto, he won't be a great hero if he still will hold that grudge against his past. I want to see my students succeed. Aizawa said, sighing again after. Enji could have sworn the man sighed more than 10 times already. Todoroki, change is already an amazing thing itself. Changing for the better from the worst is almost immaculate. Like a supervillain changing into a hero. Aizawa told Enji to reassure him. After more talks, soon enough Aizawa has to take his leave. I'll take you to him tomorrow. Act like a dad, not a father. He told Enji before exiting. Truth be told, Aizawa didn't like the man at all. Endeavor, a man who focused on the limelight. Seeing Shoto Todoroki, it was obvious the man wasn't taking care of his family, which made the underground hero hold a grudge more for some unknown reason even to himself. Maybe Aizawa just cares about family so much. He remembered his days where his family was unworthy to called one. Obviously Endeavor right now was honest. He has completely forgotten about his dream of surpassing all might and career, the happiness of his family. Which made Aizawa like the man. Turns out they have a lot in common. Not that Enji noticed this commons, but Aizawa did. The flame hero was simple-minded and indeed in need of help in this messy situations. His natural-born stoic ambience, the environment he grew up in. Aizawa knew of this. He once read documentary of top heroes. So Aizawa was proud of this. Someone is willing to change. Izuku is laying on his hospital bed. He's supposed to be sleeping but he couldn't. He was so used to Mitsuki's company. Unfortunately the blonde mother isn't available. Aizawa took over. He entered the room to be met with a worried Izuku. Why are you up? He asked. Can't sleep. Then what are you thinking? The redhead shifted his head from the window and faced Aizawa. My family. The boy said. You worried problem child. Izuku hummed in agreement. What if they don't like me? What if they're not what I expected? What if they're dead or gone? Incomplete. Shoto was shocked at the long talk Izuku has made. The boy was rather reserved and always limited his speech. Even in class and talking to Katsuki. You just want a good family, right? Aizawa said. The boy nodded. Aizawa sat down on the chair available at the bedside. I know I must not interfere, but I know who your family is. He said, catching Izuku's full attention. You're closer to them than you thought. It's just, they have problems to fix first before bringing you in. What do you mean problems? Izuku tilted his head. You'll find out soon, but know that they are doing their best to provide you a healthy environment. Aizawa said, you should sleep. Then, if they're doing their best for me, that's more than what I could ask for. It eased my worries that they still want me. Izuku told Aizawa before closing his eyes. I made the right choice. Izuku is forgiving. Telling him this will help him understand. Aizawa thought as he slowly heard the redhead snores. Meanwhile, in Shoto's bedroom, he is debating whether he would stick to his word in visiting their mother or not. Not visiting her for all these years was already guilt building in him. What kind of son am I? He whispered to himself. Laying on his back, Shoto was ready to sleep. He reminded himself to visit Midoriya after internships. Aizawa was talking to the doctor before he take his leave to UA. He still has a teaching job, you know. Recovering amnesiac patients like Izuku would probably remember most of their memories before the incident. I know that he was 3, but this has no exceptions. If it was traumatic, then we have to put him to more therapy. Just to be sure. Dr. 𝗵𝗃𝗃 told Aizawa. How long does he still need to stay? Aizawa asked. Well, by the end of the week he should be okay. If his complete memories didn't retrieve by then. You could just visit any time. She said. Aizawa nodded, then excused himself. He left Midoriya doing classwork so he doesn't miss out or get left behind. Soon enough Bakugo should be here to help Izuku before his internship starts in the afternoon. Leaving the hospital, Aizawa made a call, pulling his phone out of his yellow sleeping bag. Don't question me where he kept his sleeping bag all along. Ringing NG. Hello. The flame hero said from the other line. It's Aizawa. Did anything traumatic happen to Mizuki back then before he was taken away? We always kept him away from his siblings' fights and our training. Basically we hid everything from him. NG explained. Are you sure? I'm not sure if he remembered the fire incident though, the flame hero let out. Aizawa sighed. Okay. He remembered the burning room, but that's all, nothing else yet. I'm asking because he's a recovering amnesiac patient. I hope you're aware of that. Yes, Shoto told me. Anyways, I have to go. Internships are starting. Endeavor hung up on Aizawa and the latter did his thing. At Endeavor's agency, Shoto entered the room with furrowed brows like how he usually greet his father. Endeavor just sighed like Aizawa. We will postpone our schedule, Shoto. We will visit Izuku. Enji said, making Shoto lose his cool. What? A loving father, what is he trying to pull out here? Shoto thought, irritated at the man in front of him. I said we're visiting Izuku. Enji repeated. I told you the dash. Shoto was cut off by his father. I know you might think that it's too fast or early, but I really want this. He said to Shoto. Of course the younger Todoroki expected that his father would meet Izuku and, slowly, get close to him, not rush and speedy like hawks. He can't really do anything if he wants to stick to his words. He did say that he'd let his father do what he wants but not rush his brother's memories. Okay, he let out. And so the two left the building and Shoto led the man to Izuku's room in the hospital. Shoto entered the room to be met with by Izuku, who seemed to stop what he was doing. Oh. Hello, Shoto. Izuku smiled. He seemed rather lively. But after that super bright smile he immediately coughed it out and composed himself. 𝗬𝗓𝗏. Shoto smiled a small and greeted the redhead. Hello, Izuku. Shoto walked towards his brother and gave him a pat on the head. Izuku enjoyed this feeling. He didn't mind Shoto being close and touchy. He felt safety in their interaction. You have a visitor, he said to Izuku as he backed away. The only visitor he gets was Aizawa, Shoto and the Bakugis, so he was surprised when he saw Endeavor walk in the room. Endeavor. Izuku suddenly got a backflash of him and Aizawa's conversation. It's just, they have problems to fix before bringing you in. The words of his teacher rang in his head. Izuku smiled a small one, Shoto and his father not giving it too much thought. I see. Thank you for your efforts. Suddenly he started to tear up when he read the situation and plans of the people in front of him. Shoto became worried and brotherly instincts took over. He came near Izuku and rubbed his back, trying to calm him down. But of course Izuku was only crying tears of relief and joy. Thank you, he said. Enji and Shoto were obviously confused and lost with Izuku's words but figured it was because of making the number 2 hero visit him. A few minutes later, Izuku came to his calm and Enji took this chance to greet him properly. Hello Izuku. Endeavor. Izuku smiled at the man. How are you, kid? I'm doing good. Izuku hummed. The rest of the day was them getting to know each other. It was safe to say that Izuku smiled a lot more than his usual self. Through the week until Izuku was discharged, Endeavor and Shoto visited him and put aside the internship or work studies. They showed Izuku the care of a father and brother. Shoto would sometimes talk to Izuku about their other siblings. The redhead was happy and excited to meet the said Fuyumi and Natsuo. Shoto and Enji sighs in relief knowing that the youngest seemed to like them, not knowing that Izuku figured things out. Shoto and his mom are in a good relationship. He was easily forgiven. They would talk about how Shoto was doing at the hero course. Fuyumi and Natsuo were talking to their mom about how excited they are for the winter, which a long time to go. They were fond of the cold. Rei told her children about how Endeavor is to her. Your father? Give him a chance, Natsuo. The said son gave a look of hesitance. But he was so mean to you, Natsuo exclaimed. Rei smiled a soft. You see those flowers? She pointed at the nightstand. Shoto, Natsuo, and Fuyumi looked at the rindu flowers their mother pointed at. That is my favorite flower. I only mentioned it once but he remembered it. And sends me every time. But Mom, aren't those flowers always here? Fuyumi asked. Rei nodded with a smile. To Natsuo's dismay, he's been here. He exclaimed. Many times apparently, Rei answered. Shoto was just glad that Endeavor was doing his best with their mother. I don't get to see him, the doctors do not recommend it. But you see, he's trying his best. Mom. Shoto called. I think you should know. Fuyumi and Natsuo perked their heads to their younger brother. You think this is a good idea? Fuyumi asked with a worried face. Natsuo put a hand on her shoulder and said, she deserves to know Yumi. And with that, Shoto continued. Mom, Izuku, we found him. Their mother was stunned. Ah, really? She gave a hopeful look to her children. They all nodded. Thank God, she cried. Fuyumi went to hug her and dry her tears. And Enji is being a good father to him. Shoto said, shocking Fuyumi and Natsuo. That's the biggest lie I have heard. Natsuo controlling his voice but obviously irritated at the mention of the joke. I'm not lying, okay? He kept his promise. I've watched him and he was sincere. Shoto exclaimed. He just left the hospital yesterday. He's staying at the teacher's dorms at UA until we take him in. Shoto told the three. Shoto, why not take him in now? Rei asked. I promised. I promised Mrs. Midoriya, the one who took care of Izuku, to make sure Izuku is safe and happy in his family. Rei awed at his son's determination. And even if I hadn't made that promise, I would have made this deal with him or never let Izuku know about us at all. Well, we are trying our best now, right? Fuyumi said in comforting manner. Then I should do my best too. Rei smiled as she showed them her determination. Dabi, bring this new scout here at the base. There at Alley 51. Kurogyari would help you. Shigaraki said to the black-haired man. Dabi, it was his chosen alias. He has a few burns on his arms. Luckily the burns doesn't connect to his pretty face. Those burns heal through time though, sure. So we're recruiting a Yandere. Great. A sarcasm as he looked at the picture of a blonde girl with a knife on her hand, he kept on with the act. Kurogyari opened the portal, meaning it's his cue to leave. As the warp closed behind him, he was alone at Alley 51. Quiet footsteps is soon heard. The heels of her school shoes were creepy. Perfect for the job. Toga, he said. Hello, Touya. The girl greeted with a giggle. Dabi. He corrected. He took out his phone and made a call. Kurogyari. She's not late. Then ended the call immediately. Remember what you're here for. He said to Himiko Toga. A request, So, why do you want to join the league? Shigaraki asked the blonde. With her cheery self she answered, I want to live in an easy world. I want to be free and act how I chose. I want a new society where people like us are free to roam around. Shigaraki gave a hum and Dabi gave a comment. Immature. He muttered but audible to everyone's ears. Suddenly Toga decided that she wanted to scrape Dabi's pretty face a little. Irritation must have got the best of her. Kurohige fortunately didn't let any violence happen. Welcome, was the only thing Shigaraki said before continuing back to his video games. Dabi has been in the league for 4 years. One of the original members after Kurohige and Tamura. His said reasoning was no secret to the first league members. His Endeavor's son, and apparently he hated the Flame Hero's guts. It gave him an automatic pass. He told them about the abuse and that he's had enough. From then on, all for one accepted him fully because of the guy's hatred. But there's more that lies beneath. Sensei, is there anything I can do to help? Izuku asked his teachers. It was early in the morning, probably 3 hours before school starts. In the kitchen of the teachers' dorms was a whining Izuku. I told you leave the cooking to us, Present Mike insisted. The younger tried to whine more but ended up losing and ate his breakfast quietly. It was a weird morning for Izuku. In the teacher's dorm can be found a human alarm clock, yellow caterpillar, doting auntie, and cleaning robots made by Power Loader. He swore the caterpillar would someday turn into a butterfly. Apparently there's also a skeleton, considerate enough that he noticed the hero was All Might. He didn't say a word to avoid rudeness. And there's also the principal who drinks his coffee on the couch. This wasn't the usual, but all teachers are busy with paperwork and had to cram. They didn't have time to go home, so they stayed there. You're an early bird, Shoto said to his student. Yeah. Just habit. The boy answered. Habit. Yeah, I train my quirk and close combat every morning before UA and everything. Izuku said, earning the interest of the hobo man and Nizu. Hardworking, I see. Nizu said, then he sips his tea. Can I jog around campus? I promise I'll come back. Aizawa shook his head no. You need to rest, problem child. The redhead pouted a bit but shrugged and went to his assigned room. He found pens and paper and decided to draw Rindu flowers. It is his favorite flower. It can mean justice, victory, or lonely love. He doesn't know why he loves it, but it was aesthetic to his eyes. Soon enough, he decided to get ready for school. Leaving the same time as the staff, he was early, but a couple early students gave him company somehow. The class was almost full and everyone noticed that Midoriya is back in class. Of course they greeted him back. They'll do some morning lessons then start internships at the afternoon. Aizawa was still the usual sleepy teacher, thus consequently making the class have a free time. Izuku, how are you? What happened? You were gone for a while, and a couple similar questions were asked. I'm fine, thank you, he said, lessening the worries of his classmates. Something came up and have to take care of, he added. He was happy. Izuku thought that he has wonderful siblings and a willing family. A father and still has a mother. But no one will replace the care of Inko. He smiled to himself. He can't wait to meet the named Fuyumi, Natsuo, and Rei. School hours ended and it was time for the students to go to their internships. Izuku spent his time catching up with Katsuki, who kept complaining about best jeanist. Izuku, let's go together, Shoto said. Oh right. Izuku waved his best friend bye and went with his brother. While in the train station, Shoto couldn't help but ruffle the younger one's hair. Izuku didn't mind. Must be hard for Shoto to keep this from me, he thought. He was glad to have such a kind brother. Let's just say that Izuku loves the attention like a 3-year-old. They just talked until arriving near the agency building. They learned some new stuff about each other. They found out that they both liked cold soba. Izuku's head started to hurt, then it really hit him hard. There was a wave of headache that passed him. Suddenly he saw visions. It was blurry, but he managed to recognize the figure thanks to a recent incident. The Mist Man from the USJ villain attack. The background was a night sky and a brick wall that looked like an alley. Then moving, then all black, then the night sky with a different alley background. The vision stopped there. Izuku. Izuku. He looked at Shoto who was calling his name. Huh? Are you okay? Izuku nodded at his brother. Just another flash of memories. Nothing too big. He shrugged off. Well, we are late. We should head in. The older pulled Izuku in the building and is greeted by the employees. Izuku bowed his head at them to show respect. While waiting for the twins to come, Enji was talking, more of like begging the doctors to see his wife, Rei. Can you at least ask her? He asked. Will do, Sir Todoroki. Then the call ended just on time. Shoto and Izuku entered the room without a knock. Shoto just went in straight. Izuku bowed at the lack of manners. No need to bow, 𝗵𝗃. 𝗫𝗏𝗧𝗏 said. How about you two change into your hero costume and I'll bring you to patrol with me. Since you can't engage in fights yet, I'll let you watch and maybe practice at the training room downstairs. Izuku nodded, same as Shoto. They both look alike in their stoic demeanor. After an amazing tour of 𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗏's usual daily life, his patrols, he made the kids use the training room to their content. The training room was especially made for with temperature-based quirks. Watching from the sidelines while his assistant named his week upcoming schedule, he got a call from the number earlier. Hello, Mr. Enji Todoroki. Speaking. She agreed also with the requested schedule. Okay, thank you. He said, then he ended the call. He looked back at his sons and focused on Izuku. Plus, you'll come home soon. He said with a soft smile. Rei Todoroki, are you scared of him? Mrs. Todoroki, you need to tell us something in order to help you. The doctor said. Yes. Did he hurt you? Yes, but Rei was cut off. Right now, she was just sent into a room after being pulled away from her home. It's fine, you don't need to say more. Then yes or no? We'll take other questions to Fuyumi. Rei didn't reply and just stared to the white wall. What was she doing here? She's not crazy. She thinks it was normal to be scared of a monster for a husband. He's so different from when she met him, from when they were just dating, when Enji tried his best to capture her heart, and for what? For this kind of future. Rei didn't wish for an abusive household. He just wanted a husband that will love their children, who would support and care for each other. He said he was happy. Even Touya was happy with their intense training. Even though he wished he could go gentler, so why? Why did he want more? She mumbled underneath her breath, sitting on the bed. It has been many years, estimated 10 to 12 if she remembered correctly, since she was sitting on that bed and mumbled questions under her breath. She is traumatized and hurt. She filled himself with hate but learned to forgive through time. The only thing that's left is her fears and some sadness from the loss of her two sons. But Izuku is alive. This brought her an increased rate in happiness. Shoto told her that Izuku is close to him. She loved hearing about Shoto's stories. Aside from Izuku's case, she also took interest in 𝗵𝗏𝗧𝗏's progress. Whenever Shoto visits and tells her more, he would try hide his proud face in a stoic mask, which isn't new to Rei, so she knew all too well how Shoto was enjoying his father's change for the better. Of course it will not pass her. Enji used to hide his emotions in that stoic mask. Rei took her time to observe and giggle it off. The good days. Today she will face him, Enji. Even though she still fears him, she's willing to face him. How will you suppress your fears if you would not face them? She sat on a chair and looked out the window, watching the same view as her yesterdays. The door opened. Rei. Enji let out. Now that she saw him, she thought she would have a breakdown. Cry, shout, but no. She was calm and contented. She wasn't expecting this. Did my fear left with my hatred? She asked herself. Looking at his husband, her eyes landed on the flowers he was holding. Her eyes perked up to his eyes. Now both locking in each other's soft gazes. Rindu's. Enji walked towards her and gave her the purple and blue flowers. She took them and smiled at him. Thank you. Rei. I'm sorry, everything's my fault. I should have known better. Enji, at first it was pure hate and fear. Now having my time to think, I guess. You just taught them how you were thought. Enji's eyes widen. Enji never told Rei anything about his parents. The man would always avoid the subject. He was always forced to be strong, but with how his father taught him, strong is being number one or at the top. Ever since he was a young toddler, 𝗵𝗲 was first until middle school. He would get in trouble if he let his achievements slip. High school came and he couldn't beat All Might. This was also the time his grandparents lectured his parents, and so the beatings stopped, but his beliefs are tampered. Learning the hard way, here he is now fixing everything. How did you know? He asked. Do you know that your mother and father came to me when they heard you're gonna marry me? The hero shook his head no. Well, they told me that you might not be the perfect father. I didn't pay much attention. No one's perfect. But what you showed scared me. I didn't know not being perfect came to this extent. She said. 𝗵𝗲 smiled and kneeled in front of her, making it the same height head to head. I'm still not perfect, but let me make things right, he said, making Ray smile. Stop that, so cheesy. A word learned from Natsuo. 𝗵𝗲 chuckled while she giggled. Seems you're better now. Yeah, I am. I hope you know that. I'm not only doing this for Izuku. Her eyes widened at 𝗵𝗲's statement. I have to go. I'll visit you again until they let you out, okay? She nodded at him and waved bye. When the hero was out of sight, she cried. Not a sad one though, she has a smile. Looking at the flowers he gave her, I love you too, she let out. Seeing the aster flower in the middle of the 𝗵𝗲. 𝗵𝗲 would give Ray an aster flower from time to time, mostly when he comes home late from his past patrols. He would always end up sleeping before talking to her, so as an I love you, he asked his assistant to deliver her small asters, which she would happily plant in their garden. Ray and 𝗵𝗲 thought that their meeting went beyond better than what they had expected. Sorry to keep you two waiting, is it alright if we change our schedules a little later than planned? 𝗵𝗲 said to his two recruits. The two brothers just nodded at him. Izuku was confused, but he's willing to take some time to rest. Shoto on the other hand knew that the talk went well. Now exiting the building, the two followed 𝗵𝗲 in his patrol and made sure the civilians are safe from the fight 𝗵𝗲 has with a villain. In the sky, a red-winged hero caught the scene. 𝗵𝗲 and his son. Then he averted his eyes, then landed them on Izuku. Another Todoroki. He muttered to himself. He swore from what he heard 𝗵𝗲 only had 3 sons. So he landed on a building and rang a phone. Hello. What? On the other line greeted. Ouch, so cold. Hawk said. 𝗵𝗲 has a 4th son. Hawks continued. The call ended. No reply from the other side. Well, I guess that confirms it then. Hawks said, then flew off. Training Camp 1, quirk training over the months, a lot has happened. Ida survived the hero killer's attack. Izuku being Izuku came to save Ida, and Shoto being a big brother followed Izuku and ended up helping. They then study for the tests for the next upcoming week. This included the teacher versus student exercise. The brothers managed to pass and get to join the upcoming summer training camp. It was lunchtime in UA, students are now crowded in the cafeteria and the hero course is chatting about their upcoming trip. Hey guys. I wonder what camp would be like. I'm excited. 𝗧𝗪𝗃 said. I don't know, Aizawa-sensei made it sound like hell. Shiro exclaimed. They all had their comments and looked at Bakugo, who just wanted to eat quietly. What? He questioned with a scowl. Then everybody turned to their half-and-half classmates sitting side by side slurping cold sobas, hoping they could get an opinion. You sure you aren't brothers? Denki asked as Mina took a pic. Izuku and Shoto knows deep down that they are brothers but decided to shrug at their classmates as they didn't want the other to know. Seriously, even Denki sees it. Katsuki thought as he put a spoonful of his spicy meal in his mouth angrily. Looking at the twins who are slurping their cold sobas with the same timing. WTF. Lately, this angry Pomeranian has been thinking on how Izuku doesn't notice at all. Well, Katsuki himself couldn't believe it, but it's there. It was no secret to him that his best friend Izuku is adopted by his auntie Inko. But he always wondered how someone powerful and looks fitted to be in a rich family was found near the trash cans of an alleyway. Even his clothing when he was found showed that the boy was from an elite. Hell, he was wearing a kimono when he was found. Meeting Shoto Todoroki, Katsuki had connected the dots. He got the elder's confirmation. Shoto, recently he has been acting a bit doting and careful of Izuku. Of course the ash blonde didn't ignore that. It feels like 𝗬𝗧𝗏 was taking his best friend away. But putting the subject aside, Bakugo needs to catch up to those two. And he'll have all his time to train in that said training camp. Well, little did he know Izuku already knew. His frustrations just went to waste. Less than or slanted equal to dot inside greater than or slanted equal to dot inside less than or slanted equal to dot inside greater than or slanted equal to dot inside less than or slanted equal to dot inside greater than or slanted equal to dot inside less than or slanted equal to dot inside. Now trying to cross the beast forest, Class 1A is now fighting dirt beasts as they hope that they'll come out alive and well. Succeeding after 8 hours, the whole class was famished as they met with their teacher and mentors who standing there not tired and relaxed unlike their state. "I wanna sleep," most groaned out. "Well, sleep if you want, but dinner is there ready to be cooked," Aizawa said, pointing at the wooden benches and barbecue stove with raw meat and rice ready. The tiredness that the class gave off suddenly changed to cheery in just a second. "Man, this generation are monsters eraser." "Yeah, food does motivate them," Aizawa replied to 𝗵𝘃𝗏𝗏. Now, the class was happily eating and cooking the meat. Aizawa let them have their fun. Tomorrow won't be the same anyways. Less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside. Dabi and twice. "You are important for this mission. Don't screw it," Tomura said as he glared at the two, showing his supremacy at both. Dabi just rolled his eyes while Jean excitedly nods. "Call Toga here, Dabi. If she succeeds in this request, we may be able to infiltrate UA successfully," Shigaraki said with a smile. "We attack tomorrow," he stated before he went into the warp Kurogyri made for him. Dabi thinks he'll just meet with Sensei. Dabi went out and looked from alley to alley near the base to find Toga. Maybe she is investigating the place around. This area of the city is quite abandoned after all. Dabi sighed as he thought about what he heard from his friend over the call. He pondered about it and ended up brushing it off despite its disturbance. Then he got a call. "Hand man." He answered the call. "Dabi, find muscular. Sensei wants him to join us tomorrow." The call just ended like that. Why would he want a strong asset? "Well, I gotta send information," he thought as he looked through his contacts. Less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside. The next day was extreme for the heroes in training. Class 1B arrived at the campsite and saw Class 1A suffering. Bakugo forcing to make larger explosions, Todoroki shifting from fire to ice, then fire and ice, Midoriya creating a snowstorm like with his flames while Force creating his hot ice at the same time. Ida running miles for long hours by now. Same goes with Ochako in her try not to puke training. Others are training hard too. After long sufferings, they are finally finished just before sunset. They all gathered and made dinner just like the yesterday. Forgot to mention that there was this grumpy kid named Koda, despising heroes without a care because of his past. Kid got an attitude. The Pussycats got a surprise for the students to reward them for their hard work. Shame for those who needs to retake the test. Whoa, you're here too. What's a 1A student doing here? Minoma mocked. Count on the Baku squad minus 𝗵𝘃𝗏𝗏 in annoyance with Minoma's taunting. What scared them wasn't how long they will study but who their teacher is. Aizawa. What's fun in a camping trip without a test of courage? Maybe 𝗬𝗏𝗄𝗏s, but they don't have those. The class get to scare each other. Divided by Class 1A and 1B. They got to go in pairs. Unfortunately, in the middle of their leisure, blue fire was sighted. The students came to an alert despite being scared. Aizawa was called out by 𝗵𝘃𝗏𝗏 using her telepathy, saying the blue fire should be harmless. I know I got a call that the villains are coming and apparently they have this super strong guy that has muscle augmentation quirk. That's why police and hero backups are on their way, but I never expected it to be this early. Aizawa said tiredly, quiet enough only for him to hear. You all stay here and wait for Koda, someone will bring him here soon. He said as he readied himself for a fight. 𝗵𝘃𝗏𝗏, are you still with me? He asked in his mind, hoping the hero is using her quirk. Yes, I'm here, eraser. She answered with her telepathy. Good, tell the students to engage, they are allowed to use their quirks. He thought. Not even a minute, the message was sent to every student. While the wild pussycats and Eraserhead helped fight with the situation, Vlad King was sent to guide. Ragdoll came back and managed to take Koda with her before any villains found him, thanks to her quirk. The boy was left to the study group that Aizawa left. You caused the fire. Aizawa asked the boy. Don't worry. They're controlled. The villain replied. Support the students till help comes. They're almost here. He said quietly before melting into a mud-like matter. I don't get that kid. Aizawa complained in his head. Aizawa went to the other students in the forest to make sure they are safe while Dabi went running on the loose with Twice. And as planned, backup came, but villains just get stronger and stronger. Somehow, Shoto and Izuku found each other while retreating from a villain inside the forest. The girls are dealing with Toga, who is showing that she is struggling to take BLD from them. Other guys are separated along with 1B students, who are also attacked by villains. Heroes and police that came are busy. With Muscular. With all the chaos going around, what are the odds that the three meet? Dabi went to met with Toga and the two brothers are looking for the girls. The chances of the three meeting. Here it is. In the corner of Dabi's eye as he was about to retreat with Toga, he saw Shoto. Beside him was oddly familiar hair. It reminded him of Izuku. Like time slowed, he had the time to remember that call. Endeavor has a fourth son. Hawks asked through the other line. Touya was shocked. He has never mentioned anything about Izuku, Endeavor's fourth son. He couldn't do anything but hang up. He thought he'd leave Kigo in the air, but the number 3 hero is smart. Izuku's dead. He thought that time. He looked at the neighboring cities. Nothing. After years of looking, when he thought there was an Izuku there was no Todoroki. Back to the present, is this Izuku? He thought. Izuku made eye contact with him. They immediately continued to run as Toga shook Dabi out of shock. When they tried to retreat, they felt cold. Cold wind and see bluish-white flames. But it was not hot. Flames are supposed to be hot. Izuku used his quirk. Aside from that, he used his hot ice to cover their tracks. Maybe Dabi can pass through, but not Toga. They can't continue forward and they're surrounded at the back and side. Then, Aizawa came. Izuku. Stop. Catching the attention of everyone, including Dabi in the most. Izuku complied to their teacher's orders. Despite the shock he was in, Dabi ran away with Toga. The class was flooding in confusion to why Aizawa let them go. But they figured their sensei would explain to them later on. Villains here are gone, we rounded the weak ones up and are arrested. The others escaped and Bakugo was about to get kidnapped, but he managed to escape. Aizawa said, Midoriya, I need you to come with me, you two Todoroki. The two boys nodded. I need you to help stop Muscular. I heard that muscles could be weakened in the cold. Todoroki can continue non-stop on sending him ice. And Midoriya, surround him with a snowstorm. We aim to capture him and put him in Tartarus with less damage as possible. But sensei, what if cold won't work? Izuku asks. Their teacher sighed, hoping it wouldn't come to this. Use fire and SWCH rolls. Burning him and his augmented muscles would surely weaken him. Disappointment was clearly heard in Aizawa's voice. Less than 𝗎 equal to 𝗧𝗏 greater than 𝗎 equal to 𝗧𝗏 less than 𝗎 equal to 𝗧𝗏 greater than 𝗎 equal to 𝗧𝗏 less than 𝗎 equal to 𝗧𝗏 greater than 𝗎 equal to 𝗧𝗏 less than 𝗎 equal to 𝗧𝗏. Muscular was taken and Bakugo was safe from disintegration and kidnap. It is said that Dabi's fire got out of control and reached to the villain's area. The remaining forcefully had to retreat. Shigaraki wasn't happy. What is wrong with you? Shigaraki exclaimed. I told you my fire got out of control. Yelled Dabi. Don't you have full control over that freaking quirk of yours? I never said I have. I can't control a whole forest fire and spreading hand man. Stop blaming me. You had job to kidnap or kill the Bakugo brat and you didn't. Dabi defended. Toga was now looking like a disappointed girl as she only scratched a few faces and less BLD than she had expected. Others just watched the two fight and blame each other. 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗲, fighting will not help. You did a good job and has put heroes on alert. This means you are making a name for the league. A deep voice from the television scared the other villains spineless. But 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗲 and Kurojiiri are obviously used to this. Rest up. The future has many to hold. With that, 𝗵𝗃 went out the bar and looked for his room. He laid down on his bed and started thinking about the Izuku from earlier. Is he really? He mumbled, looking at the ceiling while remembering the fire in his household years ago. Hoping no one would hear him, Touya woke up with his mind made up on running away to find his younger brother. The sun rose and he's in front of the Hero Public Safety Commission building. He remembered when he didn't get cut out for the program. Let's say he visited a friend. 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗵𝐺. Hoping the trainee is in there where he last met him. When he went in, he wasn't a stranger. The president even greeted him. He wanted to talk. President, I want to work for the commission. His words made the president think. In the end, she accepted, and that helped him gain access to extra information. He lived with 𝗧𝗪𝗃𝗃 in an apartment paid and given by the commission. Every time he'll do an undercover mission, he would take his extra time in looking for clues and possibilities on where Izuku could be. He lasted 3 years before giving up. His last search was in Mizudafu. At that time he was investigating. He has searched nearby cities and towns from his old home. The villains couldn't possibly drive or run too far away. Touya was hoping that if Izuku is not homeless or safe, maybe kidnapped, enslaved, or dead, he wants confirmation of a body and hold a proper funeral if so. Not just as if he disappeared from existence. He can't accept to lose someone that way. It's like a doctor giving up on a patient who can survive if something was done. Or maybe a doctor who didn't do anything because there is no pay. Either way, looking at Mizudafu was his last straw. Plus 𝗵𝗃 and Toga, a flashback in a police station. These are all we have here, Touya-kun. A blonde girl says as she hands a paper to Touya. Thanks, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗲. He mumbled. I gotta go, Touya-kun. Dad needs help on a murder case. The girl left him alone and gave him privacy. On the paper was a list of 3 names whose first was Izuku and ages 5 to 6. Izuku Tanaka, Izuku Midoriya, Izuku Yanahoshi. By this time he was frustrated. What was I thinking? Mizudafu is way too far from my old home. He dropped the files and stood up, leaving the room. He didn't bother if anyone was listening, but nevertheless said, Tell 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗵𝗄 I left the files on the table. He left the station and got a call from Hawks. He answered despite the mood he was in. I got a job for you. It's an undercover operation, the other line said. Go infiltrate the LOV. Less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside. In UA, the 2 classes has returned to the school. The students were piling up the question to Aizawa as to why he let the villains go. Their sensei gave a tired sigh. 𝗵𝗃 and Toga. They are our spies under the league. He said, You think 𝗵𝗃's fire was out of control and spread to the villains' area? No. 𝗵𝗃 is known to have sharp control over his flames. Ever wonder why none of you are burned? The class was silent. Silence was interrupted by the girls. But sensei, what about Toga? She clearly is trying to stab us. From afar, I can see very well that her movements were sloppy. Toga may be young enough to be a high schooler, but she helped a lot with investigations. This shocked the class, especially the girls. Less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside greater than or slanted equal to a dot inside less than or slanted equal to a dot inside. Toga Himiko. Just a week after her quirk manifested, her parents gave up on her. Her thirst for BLD was a part of her quirk. She was dubbed a villain and immediately feared. Her parents not returning for a month now left her hungry and out of stock. He decided to go out herself and look for them. She sobbed and cried to her content in an alley, now understanding what's happening. She was abandoned. The police found her. There at the station she met Detective 𝗍𝗄𝗍𝗂. He solved her case and got 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗄's parents sent to jail for child abandonment. While Touya was under the police's care, the detective grew fond of Touya and ended up adopting her, giving her the name 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗄 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗄. How did she start? Helping the government in murder cases. Well, there was a time where they suddenly needed to investigate a crime scene of murder. Even though 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗄 is not fond of the idea of letting a 6-year-old child to see such horrific sight, the case seems serious and he is requested to help. While his adoptive father talks to one of the officers, she was passed on to another officer for them to watch. She looked at the scene before her eyes. It was bloody and the iron red is splat on the brick wall of the alley. As her quirk is, she took a BLD on her pointy finger then licked it. Not long later 𝗵𝗃𝗃𝗄 was gone but a man appeared. All eyes came on her, shocked there was a man out of nowhere and the little girl was lost. It wasn't even a minute later that she changed back to her 6-year-old self. What she drank was merely a drop. She grew curious of the BLD more. A smaller splat on the other wall. She turned to a different man. And with that, 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗄 solved the case by face identification and fingerprint from the system with the help of 𝗵𝗃𝗄. Starting then on, 𝗵𝗃𝗄 knew she helped and did a heroic act. She did become a hero like she dreamed when she was 3. It made her happy and wanted to help more. Now at 16, 𝗵𝗃𝗄 was sent to go undercover in the LOV as her quirk and acting skills are amazing and perfect for the job. She didn't take the comment of her quirk perfect for the job offensive but rather took it as an advantage. She went under the name she hated the most. 𝗵𝗃𝗄 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗄 alias Touya. Touya 𝗵𝗃𝗄. Less than 𝗧𝗵𝗃𝗄 equal to 𝗧𝗏 greater than 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗄 equal to 𝗧𝗏 less than 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗄 equal to 𝗧𝗏 greater than 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗄 equal to 𝗧𝗏 less than 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗄 equal to 𝗧𝗏 greater than 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗄 equal to 𝗧𝗏 less than 𝗧𝗏𝗃𝗄 equal to 𝗧𝗏. Todoroki and Enji Todoroki are taking it slow. But not too slow that they'd keep Izuku waiting. They got along, they relearned about each other, but there are times where they both are awkward. And sometimes, argue. In the end of an argument, Enji learned to say sorry, even though he didn't start the argument sometimes. Sometimes they all would be in the same room and Natsuo became convinced that 𝗵𝗏𝗃𝗄 is trying to change. He even fell down to number 3 in the last hero rankings and didn't bat an eyelid to it. This made the 4 proud. They are suited enough to take Izuku with them already but they want the doctor to confirm that 𝗧𝗏 can go home now. Sadly, they didn't so it may take time. Hearing this, 𝗧𝗏 cried. Please, Enji, just bring Izuku home. Before we lose him again. She sobbed on the chest of her husband. The other 3 couldn't help but felt sad for their mother. They all wanted Izuku with them right now. Plus now Enji came to a decision. How about we take Izuku in our home now and we'll visit you. Clearly you are perfectly fine already. Enji suggested, lighting up the mood of the 3 and surprised 𝗧𝗏. Her tears stopped and wide-eyed from shock. Really? The flame hero nodded. Fuyumi, let's fix the house later and prepare for Izuku's arrival.